Okay. Hopefully my mic should work now. Okay. How are we doing? Well, I guess I should just start. So, when I'm playing on Sockeye, the very first thing I want to get out of the way. Actually, I want to make sure. Hold on, let me get my phone out. I want to make sure that my voice is coming through. Okay, it definitely is. Perfect. Okay, so when I'm playing on Sockeye, the very first thing that I personally think of when I think of the map and its design is I think of the word balance. And the reason that I think about that is I think that the way the map is designed is kind of intentional in that it wants you to pick options that are less extreme. I think that the map is designed in such a way that picking options that in themselves are more balanced is generally more effective than picking extreme options. And when I say balanced, I don't mean it in the sense of like weapon balance, where it's like, oh, all these weapons are roughly the same strength as each other. What I mean is that it's like a lack of extreme, of like a yin and yang. And I want to explain what I mean a little bit when I say this. So let's use low tide for an example. So this low tide has a kind of a front to back design, I think, where it's like the players stand in the back, the salmonids spawn in the front, and then they move in. But it does some things specifically to try to almost like balance out that type of map design. So let's say that there's a bunch of eggs over here, right? Like let's say here. Usually on a front to back map, these eggs are very difficult to run. But the way that Sockeye Station tries to balance this is it gives you a path over here. So usually the reason that these eggs are hard to run is because it's really hard to get map control back after you give it up on a front to back map. Because it's like, oh, the salmonids move in. And now it's like, oh, the stinger spawn, there's eggs over here. You have to fight through the steelhead and the scrapper or like dodge around them to get over there. But on Sockeye Station, they literally give you these two paths that the salmonids can hardly go on. And so it's kind of like free map control the map designers are giving you on purpose to try to balance out the inherent downside of front to back map design being that map control is hard to get. But then to balance out the balancing, the Snatchers are not particularly useful on this tide level compared to some other front to back maps like High Tide Bay. Like they are useful. They will grab like these eggs and bring them over to like here, which is better. But they're not like I was saying Murder's Bay where it's like, oh, the Snatcher will spawn behind basket and then go and grab everything and then bring it back. That's really extreme. That's not usually how this map functions in my experience. Let's go to normal tide. Another example of this balance on normal tide is I think the spiral. The spiral gives you like great positioning. Like you can shoot down onto here, like let's say you're trying to snatcher optimize with this one. You can use this position to just kind of like shoot down onto everything really safely. You can cancel sticks using it really easily. Um, there's a lot of benefits to the spiral, but then it also comes with a massive downside of it's a huge line of sight blocker. So if you're at basket, it's hard to know what's going on over here. And also, it kind of turns this really open map into two corridors because the salmonids have to go around it, so they end up funneling into two different corridors. So it's again this I think that there's this prevalent idea of balance on this map where they do things that help you, but they also hurt you. And I think that they were intentionally trying to design it such that it wasn't imbalanced. It wasn't like too harmful or too helpful. And I think that that really impacts my approach when I'm playing on this map because on some maps like Mariner's Bay, I pick really extreme solutions. Like I'm gonna kill everything far until like 61 seconds. because Snatchers are so good. I don't usually think I pick options like that nearly as often on Sockeye just because the map design doesn't really. I don't think it synergizes with that kind of gameplay. And I think it makes sense if you think about Sockeye in its position within the game. It's like this was the first map that they showed us for this game. It's the map that's in the tutorial. It's the map that's in the NSO icons. I think that this is like supposed to be the standard map for Splatoon 3 Salmon Run. And so when I ask myself, it's like, do I think that they would design this map with the intention that players are going to have to apply really extreme solutions? I think the answer is no. So now that I've gotten that general out of the way, we'll start with low tide. I want to go into more detail on how I like to play these. Okay, so like I was saying earlier, I think that this is a front to back map design, and I want to explain a little bit more about what I mean by that. So of course the salmon spawn in the front being the area far from basket, and the back being the area like behind or around basket. So it's like you want to lure in the scrapper. Okay, you just move backwards, and the scrapper comes in forwards. Now, what this does with the luring is it makes it really consistent because, like, even if there's a bunch of bosses coming from all three spawn groups, let me pull up. Yeah, so even if it's like, oh, a red spawn group boss is spawning, and a green spawn group boss is spawning, and a blue spawn group boss is spawning, or I guess, of course, they can't all spawn at the same time, but let's just say that there's a ton of bosses stacked up here, like they've been piling up for a while. They're still all gonna move in rather consistently. All you have to do is move backwards. And so this means that it's really consistent to lure, but it also means that luring is very contingent on map control. Because in order to lure, you have to move backwards. Like you are actively ceding all of your ground. So they can just come up all in your grill and now they control everything. And it makes it really hard when you have to go to the back because it's like, oh, I want to get this egg. But now they control everything. And so that's like, I think, the yin and yang of front to back map design that I usually think about. There are other things that are relevant with front to back map design as well, but I think that those are the main ones. So at the start of Sockeye Station low tide, I want, like in the pre-setup time, you can get down to Sockeye Station if you're on normal tide and you immediately start swimming as if it's low tide. You can get down here with time to paint. First order of business for me is I want to paint these paths, so this one and this one. There aren't really any useful walls to paint on low tide Sockeye Station, but these, because of how they're positioned, it's really, like I was saying earlier, hardly any salmons even go onto them. You basically have to bring them there yourself if you want them to paint this area. So these can almost be as useful as walls to have painted, to be able to very quickly go onto these paths into the back line. So that's what I like to do at the very start. And then I like to be pretty aggressive with my positioning for the early bosses. I think that Drizzlers, let me pull up, it's one of these two. Okay, hold on. There we go. So Drizzlers can be one of the deciding factors for how aggressive I am. If one of the earliest bosses is a Drizzler, I want to be standing back because then they just jump right in and it's really convenient. They go to D or they go to B, and I really like that. So I like to position somewhere like here-ish at the very start. And the reason for that is if a Drizzler spawns, like worst case it goes to A, I have plenty of time to go back. I have plenty of time to get out of the way for the Drizzler and then lure it in. But let's say it's not a Drizzler, let's say it's a Stinger. Okay, well now I'm in a great position to immediately just start rushing it. And if it's a boss that can be lured, like a steelhead, but it's kind of slow, I think it's fine if the whole team goes in together to like curb stomp it, grab the eggs really fast, and leave. The way that I think I usually play it is I kind of toe the line. Like I stay just outside of its aggro radius, so I'm still aggressive in case the static spawns, and then basically as soon as I have a reason to push up, I kind of take it. So let's say like a flyfish spawns. If a flyfish spawns, where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Yeah, if a flyfish spawns, then I'm like, all right, I'm just pushing it. I'm killing the steelhead. As a team, we can collect all these eggs and throw them. And this is where one of the front to back elements of the map comes into play, where even if you stall a bunch of bosses back here, it's like let's say the next spawn group starts moving in. Even if you start stalling stuff back here, the worst one to stall is the lid. I would not advise stalling a lid if you can avoid it. But even in like worst case, like we're stalling everything because we're down here trying to get these eggs and these bosses. All you have to do in the end is move backwards, and they will all eventually come in, except for lids. Lids are the really annoying one. But you can also just on the way out slam it if possible. So I like to be aggressive here because I want to control the map. I don't want to immediately seed it because what if static starts spawning, right? I want to be able to get those far eggs. And because the map is designed in such a way that you can just back up and everything will move in if they're lurable, it's pretty safe to have a bunch of stalled bosses back there compared to other maps where it's like, oh, now we got lurables on both sides. That can't happen here. That's not how the map is designed. So I like to be aggressive for these early bosses, and I also like to be aggressive for early eggs. So often what will happen is it'll be like, oh, a stinger spawned in this location, and then its eggs are here, or it spawned from here, and its eggs are, like basically just eggs in this area, or even eggs in this area, because they're in such close proximity to these, um, like flanks. I really like grabbing these eggs before like 50 seconds on Sockeye on low tide. Like grabbing these eggs is really not that hard, and you don't have to give up, or you don't have to contest a whole lot of map control to do it unless there's like a steelhead right here. Then you're probably gonna stall that. But I really want to run these eggs because otherwise they're usually just gone. Like unless you have the 1 in 4 snatcher chance of them spawning here and going and grabbing it, eggs like here. Oh my goodness. You're not going to get these eggs unless you're gunning for them. And I think that you're able to gun for them and it doesn't really cost you much of anything. Now, I think this map often what happens is that I kind of get into a rhythm of, let me get the drizzler points off the screen. I often get into a rhythm of it's like be aggro for a while. It naturally starts to build up this big lure, like a bunch of bosses that are ready to be lured. And then everyone shifts back. You lure everything in. And then usually, naturally, like a static or something has spawned. And now you have a reason to go aggro again. And I feel like I kind of just get into that cycle of like, all right, we're aggro, we create a big lure. Okay, that big lure is done. We're free to go and grab far eggs. We're free to go to kill statics. And then that naturally starts to build up another big lure. And then we move backwards again. And so I think that if you want to be successful on this tide, you need to be really proactive and you need to recognize when the map is giving you opportunities to do things that you normally can't do on a front to back map. So it's like, oh, I want to go grab these far eggs. Okay, I'll wait until the opportunity presents itself. Oh, the steelhead's moving over here. I can safely like scooch over down here, use this passageway, uh, grab these eggs, or vice versa. You can also use this passageway. And then you also need to recognize that sometimes it's just not worth it to go down there because there's already so much that's like stalled. And the downside of continuously stalling things endlessly down there is that if statics do start to spawn, it can actually become a big problem to have a ton of bosses over there. Like egg-wise, you can lure them, but also if a that's a bad example. But like if middle statics start spawning, for example, It's like, oh, how do I get to those? There's 3 steelheads in the way. So I think, so similar to hydroplant low tide, I think that this is almost like a more balanced version of hydroplant low tide. Like they give you these side routes, but the side routes are actually, I think, more effective on Sockeye Station. And because the bosses have 2 paths to come in through the middle, I think overall it's similar in a lot of ways to hydroplant, but I think hydroplant takes a lot of the ideas on this map and just makes them more extreme. Another example of that is notice how much open space there is in the like front area. It's like it's a lot wider than hydroplant is. So you have more space to maneuver, and there's more options for where the salmonids can spawn. It's like these front nodes, for example. So that's actually a downside compared to hydroplant, is that sometimes they spawn in from behind you. But also these front nodes can be kind of useful because it's like there's a big shot that goes here. It spawns here. If you shoot it while it's around its node, the eggs pop up over here, which is actually really nice. You can also do that with like lids, I think. Okay, so now that I have my general idea, dang, these guys are piling up. Let me just refresh. I just want to go over every single boss and how I think about them when I'm playing on this tide. So steelheads. Steelheads are a slow lurable, but I don't mind them getting stalled until there's a lot of lurables on the field. So my decision making with the steelheads, usually I want it to walk in. Actually, I think, hold on, before I do bosses, I think it'd be better to talk about egg placement. Where I want eggs. So I'm gonna draw in here. The red is where I don't want them. The green is where I do want them. We're gonna go like progressive. Okay. So the only places that I really don't like eggs on this map tide are like are right around the nodes. And these, actually that one's not, well anyways. It's like just this far area in general around the nodes. It comes with the double whammy of they're far and they're right on top of where the salmonids are spawning. So it's difficult to actually get to them. So if the eggs are like in these positions, it's pretty bad because whenever you're running them, you're at the risk of new salmon spawning on top of you, and also they're far away from basket, so you're stalling a lot usually whenever you're running these eggs. So these are like highest priority eggs. If I'm running to grab far eggs, these are the ones I want to get first. These are the ones I want to move out of the way as quickly as I can. And then just this whole area in general is pretty not good. I don't want eggs here if I can avoid it. Like if I have a choice in the matter. Yeah, good luck with jumping lessers near the water. Yeah, not fun. If there are eggs here, I usually don't like that because I mean they're just far. I don't. I would rather have them over here by the basket. Um, I would say that on these bridges is still not great. I still am not a fan because you're still in this range where things will still like steelheads will still like move over and start attacking you. And the lessers are also able to swamp these very fast. So I don't like eggs on these bridges really. I want them to get in just a bit further. So like here, I would say that's good. It's not great, but it's all right. I'm fine with eggs here. A lot of eggs end up usually spawning here because of drizzlers. These eggs, you're able to run them without super risking stalling things, and you also don't need a whole lot of map control to get to these. And now for like where I actually do like the eggs, it's like over here, something like this. And I would put the dark green, which is like where I super want them. It's like this whole area. So as you can see, this map is very front to back, right? Like I don't want them far, I want them close. That's usually how I like the eggs. Okay, so back to the bosses. Okay, steelheads. I already have one. The friend can go over here. So yeah, I like them to move in when possible, but I also don't mind them stalling far. So if I see a steelhead and there's 3 eggs over here and there's like, I don't know, 60 seconds left on the timer, I'm often going to be like, okay, whatever, I'm going to grab these eggs. The steelhead can look at me for a sec, that's not the end of the world. But also, I might consider, can I just stand back and allow it to walk in? Because you can often like get kind of close, like kind of like be over in this strange area where the steelhead, like you're out of range of the steelhead and it just kind of walks in, and then as soon as it's looking at something else, you just like pounce on the eggs. So I don't mind steelheads sailing far. I do want them to move in. So that's my general thought process is if I can let them move in without disturbing them, great. If I see eggs where I'm like, it's either stall the steelhead or give up the eggs completely, I will often choose to stall the steelhead. I don't think that's the end of the world. I don't think that's a huge deal. I think that steelheads, because they're kind of slow, they often arrive last when like the big lure is happening. And so I kind of play around their positioning. Like when I stop the lure entirely, like when I start really pushing up, killing everything, is usually dependent on them. Like I want them to get in like here. And so if there's like a scrapper in front of the steelhead, I'll usually like, stop it, stun it in place, wait for the steelhead. If there's a lid, like intentionally stall the lid and then still back up for the steelhead. Because I don't want steelheads here. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think that this is a super great place for the eggs to be. So even if the rest of the lurables are like here, like up in front, I usually, when I stop the lure happening, it's dependent on the steelhead positioning. Like I want the steelheads to come in closer. I want them to be like here-ish, maybe even closer. Then boom, you kill everything. The steelheads will help you kill everything if they're close. One thing that can make steelheads a bit more difficult is there's a stick spot like right here. Uh, you, yes. Okay, there's a stick spot right here, and so sometimes the steelhead, its explosion will get blocked if it's still back here. So it's like, oh, the steelhead's walking in. It stalls here. Oh, this is really annoying. It's really hard to shoot it because now it's like inside a fish stick behind it. If I'm over here, it starts looking into the fish stick. It's not fun. So be wary of that. I don't like that. Okay. Now we can go. I'm clicking all the wrong buttons. Okay, fly fish. Let me pull up the fly fish spots. So the fly fish on this map are pretty annoying, but they're not quite as annoying as other front to back maps simply because their starting positions are such that, like right here and right here, their starting positions are such that you can bomb them without actually having to cross very far. Like right here, even over on this side, I think if you do a jump throw, you can get the bombs in. And I usually evil and malicious fish stick, yes, true. I like killing these fly fish quick because as soon as I start cycling, it starts to get worse. And if it's like, oh, this spot's occupied and new one's spawning, oh, it goes back here. That's really annoying. I don't like having one all the way back here. It's not actually that bad, but it does require you to go further up to like kill it than you usually do. So I'm not a huge fan of fly fish living for a long time, but you have the opportunity to kill them. And these guys often spawn the eggs that I was talking about earlier, where they're like right next to the flank. So there are two options like run these eggs. You can either just jump down here, which is sometimes faster, especially early in the wave. But late wave, these eggs are not all for loss because you can go around here and grab them. Um, I don't think I have a whole lot else to say about fly fish. I mean, it's the typical. You're often going to want to special them. They're pretty annoying. If they spawn when there's a lure happening, they're even more annoying. You don't position all the way back there for a lure. Unless, new strat, just discovered. But yeah. So, I don't think that this is the map, a kind of map where I'm going to want to like leave one alive. There are some maps where you do that. This is not one of them that I like to do it on. Um, But you can see like there's the most annoying position to run golden eggs on this map is probably back in here. Notice how there's no fly fish spot back there. So that's very convenient. I think that if you do have missiles, because of how flat and open it is, I think it's especially important on this tide if you can. If you're getting missiles and you're luring, like stand over here or something. Like bring the missiles away from everyone else. Because if you stack missiles on such a flat map, there's like no cover. The missiles kind of will own you very fast. So I think that's important as well. Or like if you're killing the lure, it's like position around here ish, just out of the way of like Mr. Yellow Squid over here. You don't want him blowing up because your missiles are on him. And you also don't want your missiles and Yellow Squid's missiles to combine, and now you have like insane missile palooza over here and everyone's exploding. It's not fun. Okay, don't do that, please. Okay, next boss. Scrapper. Scrappers are really fast, and they're also kind of annoying at the far end. But they're not one basically scrappers will get up in your grill if you're trying to go down here, like it's gonna start bumping you, and that's kind of annoying. But if you like just jump over onto here, they just ignore you. So that's like the easiest way to get them to go over to basket area is just jump onto these little flanks. But because you can like chuck a bomb over to the far side, if you do have teammates that are like trying to do stuff, it's not that hard for someone like Yellow to come in and grab them. And now the Yellow just leaves and the Scrapper leaves too. That's especially relevant, I think, for the big shot cannons, which we'll talk about later. I think Scrappers on this map are pretty easy to tag if you're like if you've got like I don't know E-leader and you don't want to go to the shoreline, but you want to help your teammates at the shoreline, grab the scrappers for them. It really helps because you don't want to kill the scrappers down here, but they will keep pestering you unless you like break them down. But that takes time, that takes resources. So if Yellow can just grab it, it's really nice, and then you just bring it over to here ish. I like killing them kind of like on the side of basket, like Yellow tags it and then goes around, and then its back is facing the players over here. Unless there's nothing going on, I mean, then it's kind of just like free, whatever, wherever people are positioned, turn towards them. I don't have a whole lot else to say about scrappers. Actually, they do die really easily on this map to lids and steelheads. I would say stop a scrapper like here. If there's a lid coming in with it, and it's of course the scrapper's faster, so often it will arrive first. Like break it down like here, and then this lid will fly over it naturally and slam it, or the steelhead will stop behind it naturally and blow it up for you. Sometimes when there are scrappers like coming in here, it's possible for them to like create an annoying blockade, which is another benefit I think of stopping them a bit early, so you can still like maneuver around them a bit better because you can shoot over them if there's like a steelhead and you have a weapon with range, which I mean you usually do because most rotations give you a weapon like that. Okay. Oh, also if you tag one, don't take the flanks, or at least be wary of the fact that you have a scrapper on you, because this is actually one of the instances where the flank can kind of bite you. Is if you get a scrapper following you and then you go on the flank, it's cutting you off pretty bad now. Now you have to like jump around it or something. It's not fun. So just be wary of that. Okay, steel eels. So steel eels, I think, are not the biggest menace on this map because of the same thing with scrappers, where it's like, oh, the steel eel is really annoying, and then you jump over on here, and now the steel just ignores you, goes all the way around. But this is like the scrapper thing, but even worse, where if you aren't careful and you're on the flank and the eel starts coming in, now you're just at the mercy of your teammates killing this eel, and the eggs aren't even in a particularly good spot. So you use this little like jump trick with the eels. Use that with caution. Use your best judgment if it's actually the best idea to be doing that with an eel. Oftentimes it's fine. You just need to be ready to get out of the way really fast. Eels get really annoying at the big shot cannon though. Let me pull those up. Like eels are so obnoxious at the big shot cannon here because they spawn so fast, and there's very little cover other than the flanks. So especially if it's a middle big shot cannon, they just get really annoying really fast. And I think that when that happens, you have to be very proactive with your positioning. Like the eel is coming. There's a bunch of eggs on the cannon. Like, oh, I really want to get these eggs on the cannon. But if I stay here, this eel is gonna own me. So I have to like move out of the way, create a plan basically. Like how can I lure this eel such that I will be able to kill it in a second and it's not gonna kill me or my teammates. You need to do that fast, or else it will cause big problems. So oftentimes it's gonna mean, okay, I have to give up these eggs for a little while. I can get them later, but for right now, this eel is like #1 priority. Otherwise, it's gonna start causing problems. So often, what I like to do is jump over here like I was saying earlier, then it will naturally start moving into here. So if my teammates are already like at this right middle cannon, um, it's nice. If it's like coming in here, what I often like to do is like again, like bring it over here, but don't jump up there just yet. So now it's like coming over here and then jump up, and then I will go like here. So now you've got it curled like around the cannon in a way that's not as annoying. And if you have like, let's say, oh wait, I already pink. If you have pink over here, okay, now pink is on this side, the eel comes, and it just kind of goes around where pink is. And now pink can just come up behind it, kill it. It's nice. It's nice, okay? Um, Once the eels do get around basket, like I was saying earlier, I do want you to lure them. Um, so you might, if you have an eel on you in the big lure, you might actually want to consider hanging off from doing the big killing and leave that to your teammates if you have an eel or two on you. Because like let's give two scenarios. Let's say steelhead, scrapper, eels coming in, and you've got your teammates over here, right? Scenario one is you go to try to help kill all these bosses. Hello everyone. Um, is you go and try to kill all these bosses really fast yourself. You're yellow, and this eel is targeting you. So it's like, oh, I want to kill the steelhead. I'm gonna go around and kill the steelhead. Yay! The steelhead might die. The scrapper might die. Uh-oh! Look who's here, Mr. Eel. And now he's just all in your eggs, and he's really annoying. And then someone has to go all the way back here. And oftentimes this means that it's like, oh, well, we can't run eggs until the steelhead eel is dead. Or at the very least, he's making it significantly more annoying to do so. And then if you start piling on more bosses, like it's an even larger lure, it goes from being, oh, this is kind of annoying to, oh, this is actually like a serious problem. Like, let's say there's two eels, and both and like yellow and pink are on opposite sides, and now the eels are coming in from multiple directions, and it's like, how do we kill all these bosses? There's eels everywhere, and it's just really awful. And this can be avoided. This can be avoided just by having it so that, okay, yellow sees this eel is coming in. I'm going to bring it in a really predictable, straight fashion that is not blocking the sight line on the steelhead. And then it's much easier for everyone because then you just have pink like goes over, kills the steelhead. You already positioned the eel. The steelhead probably blows it up. It luring the steelheads or the steel eels with intention on this map and most maps can be the difference between, oh, we killed this great lure really fast. Let's run all these eggs in. Uh-oh, there's an eel everywhere. What do we do? This is really annoying. And all it comes down to is just where yellow's positioned. And also understanding who has the steel eel aggro. But I think it's not that hard because since they come at you straight, pretty much, you can like swerve over here. Does it swerve with you, or does it keep going like that? Or like a bit more straight? Then it's probably not on yellow. Eel luring strategies are so underrated. True. Truth. Truth. I love eel luring. Okay, next boss. Stinger. Okay. Stingers can be really nice statics to get compared to other ones on this map, I think. Because they spawn in ways often like here, 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 where you can just kind of like destroy them before they even get a chance to set up shop. And the eggs, as I kept harping on, they actually aren't that bad. Like here, here. They're kind of bad here. I don't really like having to run these eggs, but they're not horrible. The stingers back here in the middle are probably the worst of the worst. You might have to stall a boss to kill these, which of course that is like usual pro-con dynamic of, is it worth stopping this lure to go kill it? It depends on how many lureable bosses there are. It depends on how many statics there are. It depends on what the rest of the team is doing and what the Snatchers are, although the Snatchers don't really make a huge difference here. So if I'm gonna static or I'm gonna special a stinger, usually it's because one of these back ones has spawned, and usually it's one of like the four more inner ones. Because even these back ones over here, they're in such a position where it's like you jump down, grab an egg, jump up, throw it, refill your ink, jump down, grab another one, jump up, throw it. And even the lessers will just kind of like go over to you for a second, and then you jump back up, and the lessers are like, oh, okay, and then they start walking away, and then you jump back down. And you can kind of rinse repeat that and get the eggs without too much trouble. You will stall like a steelhead if you're doing that, but we already talked about that earlier. So I don't think I have a whole lot to say about stingers. I will say that because you're often like back here with your teammates, luring the laser can actually be useful. So like let's say there's 3 stingers. They will target the furthest person, and you can manipulate who that is on purpose. Because like it's front to back, it's pretty easy to tell. Calling out egg aggro, eel aggro will make it easier for the team to react to how to position. Yeah, that's true. That is a very good point. If everyone knows who the eel's on, you can play around it much quicker. Okay, so if there are 3 stingers, because the map is like front to back, you just put pink here and yellow here. Who do you think they're going to attack? It's going to be yellow, right? And now yellow has all 3 lasers. Yellow can just kind of like bring all of their aggro to somewhere safe. And that doesn't even necessarily mean being all the way back here. Yellow can start like darting over to come in here, and the lasers will just follow yellow. Even after yellow, like once the stingers start firing, it's like, okay, now yellow can come in. And it keeps the teammates safe from the lasers. And I think that you have a lot of freedom to grab stinger laser with intention on this map when you're luring. So using that power wisely is good. If you're like, I don't want. I don't. My weapon, like I have ink brush. There's steelheads walking in. I want to leave that to my teammates. I'm just gonna grab the stinger aggro. That could be very useful if you're trying to handle a big lure that's coming in. It's just handle them. But also, like I was saying, they're not hard to kill. The eggs are not that hard to run for a front to back map. So I don't think stingers are usually not the worst on this map tide. Okay. We've got a nice collection of friends over here. I keep pressing that button. I don't even know why. Okay, Moz. Moz, I'm a bit picky with where I like to kill Moz on this map. I like them to be right up snug on basket, but because they can sometimes spawn here and you're like here, it's often that they just like aggro right here. It's fine to kill them there. It's perfectly okay, but I don't think, because you're often end up needing to move back with the Moz, I usually just find that naturally they'll end up here eventually, and they usually aren't causing a whole lot of problems here. Because it's like, let's say I'm running eggs right here, back here, like 3 eggs right here. Naturally, I'm gonna like throw one, throw a second, grab a third one, move into basket. The friends are preparing for wave 4. Oh, the extra wave or extra work. Sockeye Station extra work again. That'd be pretty funny. What if it's just Sockeye Station every single time? Anyways. So I think that naturally you end up around basket at some point, whether it's running eggs or luring. And so bringing the moths in here, I think, can help. Because killing the moths here is the difference between like 3 insta deposit eggs and 3 eggs that you have to now like throw it or run a somewhat of a distance. And also you have to position here, which is not the greatest because like, oh, there's a steelhead here. It might look at you. But yeah, mods, I don't have a whole lot to say about them. A lot of this map is pretty standard. I mean, it is where we are talking about Sockeye Station, so I don't have a whole lot of tricks for these mods. If they are the cannon, a really nice thing to do is if you like collect the aggro. Like let's say yellow and pink are both at the cannon, and the Moz is spawning and a scrapper is spawning. The flank actually gives you a really easy opportunity to say, oh, I have this aggro. I have this Moz aggro. I take the scrapper aggro. Yeet. I'm out of here. Goodbye. And then they just leave with you. So I often do that with Moz at the cannon. I also don't mind bombing the Moz at the cannon here. Sometimes. It depends. It can be I think we'll talk about big shots later. I think that the cannons of this map can be a bit of like a funnel, like everything goes into it and it kind of causes problems. But sometimes it's like there's a bunch of statics. I want to just stay and hold my control. I'll just bomb the mods there because it's quick, it's easy, it gets the mods out of the way. Okay, next boss. Okay, Drizzler. Turn off the big shot for now. I was talking about Drizzler a bit earlier. So, I mean, as you can see, this is the position that Drizzlers tend to go to. They also will go here as well sometimes. But the little left bump next to basket is a bit weird with the mods where it just gets stuck on it. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, this one. Yeah, sometimes you have to, sometimes it's like you're positioned here and then the mods activates here, right? Hold on, let me make the images a bit smaller. Is this what you're talking about? Because, yeah, I think that this can be really annoying. Where it's like, why is the moss stalling over there? Yeah, yeah, okay. You need, and the solution to that is to stand back a bit further. For anyone wondering, yeah, that's a good point, sad face. Okay. And I think that can happen with all these other. It's like there's a change in elevation, and the Moz doesn't want to do it for some reason. So you have to like really make it want to do it. Like, hey, I'm all the way back here. You might as well go over that little elevation lip. Come on now, come on, you can do it. I believe. It happens over here as well sometimes, but I mean it's less of a problem because you're not usually stalling it over there anyways. Anyways, so with these drizzlers, notice how you have a pretty good amount of leeway to lure them in. So it usually will naturally happen just by positioning over here. However, if you're running eggs, especially on the left, because you can see the left is a bit less, or the mid too, they're a bit less forgiving. Sometimes I maneuver around the bump to the right or back up further if I can't. I see. For the moss, yeah. So the drizzlers are pretty forgiving. They're basically just checking, are you front or are you back? And if you're back, you're good. If you're front, it's not so good because you'll stall them. But because they're shooting their torpedoes in a pretty consistent way, they're not the worst to shoot down. Of course, you want to lure the drizzler in one cycle. Like, ideal is lure it in very fast. Let me check. I want to see. Okay, so if this drizzler stalled in the middle, right? Let me remove the other ones because they're kind of distracting right now. If you when it after it fires its two, if it's starting to jump, you can stay in this little green or this little yellow and it will still go to basket like you want it to. So if you stall a drizzler down here for eggs, be wary of that. When it starts to jump, you want it to jump close. So all it takes is just moving a little bit over here, or in this case just being over by the bridge. It'll jump into basket instead. The downside of these drizzlers, though, is that you can see D and B are not that close to basket. So if you're standing back for a lure, it can be, and the drizzler starts jumping, it can be a bit difficult to like kill it before it lands because having to move up like that can stall other things. I've considered in the past maybe intentionally letting it go to F, but as you can see, that's kind of hard to do. Like you have to position really awkwardly and you have to have the whole team on it. So maybe that's an option. I haven't really successfully done it very much. And I also need to check. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can get it to F. That's something I kind of want to experiment more with. But yeah, I think drizzlers on this map are not the worst until you're starting a big lure, and then they kind of get awkward. But also, they naturally, when they're in these positions, they'll shoot the torpedoes kind of at where you already are. So reflecting them is pretty easily. I end up reflecting if they're at D or B, I kind of kill them, like reflect them fast. I don't usually worry about letting them cycle and then jumping in closer. Maybe that's not the best play, but that's how I usually do it. Rarely an issue on low tide unless you need to short run frequently. Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay. If they go over to E or C, I actually don't like that because they're usually easier to lure, I think, than A. But these torpedoes are at a really awkward spot. I'm going to represent the torpedo this egg, where it's like, oh, fires the torpedo. Oh, this is an awkward spot. I don't want to have to be over here to shoot this. Like you have to like go down and around. Whereas if it's in the middle, often the torpedo's like here. Like anything with long range can kind of snipe that pretty easily. And you can also snipe these with long range if they're over here. But it's more awkward. So keep in mind if you see a drizzler stalled at E or C, these torpedoes are a bit more annoying than the ones from A. And you need to be ready to move up to shoot them down or be ready to tank the rain. Early game, like I was saying earlier, I don't like these drizzlers are one of the bosses I think about the most in the early game because it can be really hard to shoot them down as they spawn over at the shoreline unless your full team is there, which is kind of rare. Like, I mean, really, if you're playing quote unquote optimally and that's how you want to play aggro, your whole team would be here. It's not a problem, but pragmatically, that's not usually how it goes for me. So early game, I'm usually thinking about these drizzlers like trying to toe the line where I'm like, I'm positioned here. I see the drizzler start to jump. I have time to move back, but I'm also in an aggressive position so that if I need to go forward very fast, I can. Okay. Oh, that was the right one. Now, fish sticks. Fish sticks will go. So you can see these spots. This front one is the main. This is the main concern. This is the main annoying one because this one is actually front enough that it kind of it the area it's painting is annoying, but the main annoyance is the actual stick itself because it makes steelheads harder to deal with. It restricts your movement a little bit. Um, I think that with these sticks back here, often what I like to do is shoot them down, like kill them, but don't worry about climbing and running the eggs right away if there's other stuff to do in the front. Just make sure that when the snatchers come, you're ready for them. And the reason for that is that naturally, when you're trying to lure, or drizzler's a bad example, but like you got a lure coming in. What do? You move back. Where are these fish stick eggs? Oh, they're in the back. So often like climbing up to run those eggs is good. But I think that sometimes you can double task or multitask by specifically trying to run those eggs at a time when you're already wanting to move backwards. And I think that that can boost your efficiency a little bit. But you have to worry about the snatchers. And if the snatchers are like over on the left and it's this left fish stick, it can be hard to run them. So then maybe you might want to climb up it. But what I want to get you thinking about is that sometimes I like intentionally like leaving a few eggs up there with the goal of getting them later. Just because of how the lures on this map work, where I think that they often have a cyclical nature of you're going to end up back there at some point. Like leaving those eggs as a task to do in that point when you're back there, I think can help boost efficiency. Um, I also think that like this back fish stick and this back fish stick, if there's a ton of stuff going on around basket that Nick is demanding, or a bunch of statics far, don't worry about these guys so much. They're not a super high priority. The area they're painting is not the most useful thing in the world. This one, that's a priority. This one, it's kind of close. I would probably take this one down quickly. But if they're in these two back spots, and you think there's a lot going on elsewhere, I think it's okay to leave these for like a couple seconds. Okay, now let's talk about flipper floppers. Flipper floppers can actually be kind of helpful, I think, on this map when it comes to handling basket area because of how the way that they paint. Or not helpful, but like They aren't as intrusive as other bosses are if you handle them right. But if you don't handle them right, they can become really annoying because it's very flat. It's not that hard to paint them after the patches unless they land on top of the basket. But hopefully they don't do that because I hate it when they do that. And then you just can't paint them and you cry and it's sad. But flipper floppers, I want them to be kind of like here. Um, and like often steelheads can help you paint them, eels can help you paint them. I think that because the lures kind of become in this giant mess where they're like entangled with each other, you want to paint the floppers fast. You want to like you want the flopper to get painted before the scrapper arrives to the scene and starts getting all over it if possible, or the eel, or the lid. Like usually flopper paint is one of the first things that you have to do because the flopper arrives really fast and it's like, okay, it's flat, it's easy to paint until the rest of the bosses arrive and now there's everything all over it and it's not as easy to paint. So sometimes it's like, okay, the flopper's here, the eel is here, the scrapper's here. The priority is killing like the eel and the scrapper because they will paint the flopper for you. At least that's how I usually think about it. Or like cohawks. Cohawks can do that too. And sometimes when you're getting pushed out of the way, like if a lure's not going super well, the flopper starts jumping over here. And then if that starts happening, usually what I like to do is just reposition over here. Because it's very rare that the salmons push you all the way back to the left and then all the way back to the right. So sometimes you'll end up with a flopper back here. In my opinion, what you want to do is you want to just get away from it. Because it's just harassing you, it's controlling space. And if you paint it over here, it's like, do we really want to kill this thing back here? I mean, maybe. But something I will say about floppers, I see a lot of people on this tide and a lot of other tides. It's like, oh, we're grabbing these far eggs. Ooh, a flopper spawned. Let's just paint it real quick. I actually don't think you should do that. If you're back here and a flopper spawns, I would ask yourself, how much longer do I want to be back here? If you're planning to be back there for a long time, okay, maybe paint the flopper. But I really don't think you should because I think that that just makes it take longer to cycle. It makes it take longer to get on the move. It makes it more likely that the flopper arrives at the same time as other salmonids, and now you have multiple bosses deal with at the same time. Like, yes, you are breaking its armor by doing that, and so when it does arrive to basket, it's easier. But I think it's honestly easier if it just arrives faster because it gives more time to handle it, unless there's already a ton of stuff going on at basket. Like, of course, everything comes with the "it depends" label attached. But I think that painting the floppers far like this, just to remove the armor, can often... It comes with a cost. It's not just like, oh, free, I get to take out the armor. So keep that in mind. There are a lot of ways to delure floppers here, even though it's flat. Jump over the water, that's one. Jump onto the bridge and then jump across, that's two. Jump up and then jump down, that's three. And what I mean by delure is it's like, oh, I'm in midair, I'm over the water, the flopper completely ignores me. So it's like you jump up onto here, flopper's there, okay, it's about to emerge from the water, boom, I'm in midair. The flopper just goes all the way over here. Yay! Now it goes to basket, and I'm happy. Okay. Big shots. These guys are annoying on this map. So here are the 4 big shot locations. I think the outer ones are a little bit more advantageous because you have easier access to the flank, whereas these ones more in the center are a little bit less advantageous. So usually I'm less likely to like super camp the middle ones than I am the outer ones. When bosses or when big shots are spawning, take note. Are they here? Are they here? Are they here? When they're in these 3 positions, if you go over to them and you kill them when they're in the deepest point in the water, their eggs will fly to a super advantageous position like here, or sometimes if you're a bit late, like somewhere like here. But still, that's better than here. All right? Like, we like that. We like having eggs over on the basket side. That's really convenient. And also, you can often just kind of stand on the safe ground over here and just shoot at them as they're walking. Or like go over here and shoot them as they're walking. So I think that when you're dealing with big shots on this map, the number one thing is to consider is your position. Am I positioning in a point that is like the most convenient way to handle this right now? Because often you're given pretty nice positions to do this. Even if it's like you're all the way back here, this can still be a position to take down a big shot. And I think that if there's like 3 eggs at a cannon and a big lure is happening, don't stop the big lure for these eggs usually, please. It's not often worth it, I don't think. But if it's like a steelhead, you might be able to just go in, boom, 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 leave. And that's often just fine. Like the steelhead, okay, now the steelhead has larger aggro radius because we stalled it once, but still, like the steelhead, this big shots can effectively make the far running that I was discussing earlier just happen a lot faster, a lot easier. And it also makes these stingers and fly fish, like the stingers and fly fish are usually in pretty convenient positions around these cannons. So if you're keeping up with the boss killing, which is made easier by the advantageous positioning that these outer cannons provide you, you can make the big shot cannons pretty efficient. But if a big lure does start to appear, you might want to consider, okay, we need to let that in. So I'm just gonna like jump over here, and then now I'm over here. Now the steelheads just ignore me and walk in. But I'm still maintaining my position here because all I have to do is walk up and now within firing range again. And because it's so flat, I do like having a weapon with high mobility around here. I mean, Splooshomatic is an immediate example. You can just maneuver around everything so nicely and easily because you can jump up here if you need a moment to breathe, and then you go back and continue fighting. So really consider your positioning when you're handling these big shots. And if steelheads spawn, or lids spawn, or even eels spawn, jump up back here, or even scrappers. Like you can just jump up, and now they just leave. And if they're targeting you, they'll come over here, which is annoying. But do you see what I mean? Like you can get a lot of bosses just leave the big shot cannon if you just pay attention to your positioning for a second. Now, it gets annoying with the middle cannons because these are away from those. So it's not as easy. I just remember that there's a cannon icon. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Like right here. This one is more annoying, and this one plays a bit more like an extreme cannon, but still not super extreme because of some of the tricks that you can do. So, when I'm at this cannon, I usually don't like to stay because, like, okay, there's eggs here. Everything comes here. Like, everything that spawns is immediately funnels right into you, and it can get really overwhelming. So, at this cannon, I'm a lot less likely to stay there. I'm a lot less likely to cut my losses if there's like, okay, there's 3 eggs. I'm not doing it. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Goodbye. Not happening. But because it's open and you have space, positioning can still help you out. Like I was saying with these eels, like, oh, bring them downtown, bring them around here, or oh, there's a scrapper. I can kind of like stop it on one side, go over to the other side, and then just keep like hitting it with little specks of ink every once in a while to keep it stopped. But I don't like staying at these cannons if I can avoid it. Usually it's like, okay, I killed the statics, I got some of the eggs, now the big lure is getting ready, I leave. So that's how I usually think about these middle cannons compared to the outer ones. You can see the huge difference. It's like these outer ones, oh, you have this amazing positional advantage. But then it goes here and it's like, well, now the positional advantage is farther away. And once you get over here, you're no longer like easily in range of stuff. Like you're still in a good position. Like I'd say that this being here for this cannon is better than being here because you can just jump down onto the shoreline really fast as opposed to having like fight through things. But still, it's just not as good. Okay, is that all the bosses? No, lid. Okay. Get rid of. Okay, so lids on this map, I don't, because, I mean, these are hallways, right? What does that mean? Lids stall on them really easily. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to stop lids like here, especially not, because then it's like, oh, lid number 2 comes in, oh, lid number 3 comes in, oh, this happens a lot on this map tide because of the hallway nature. So you want to let lids have a lot of leeway, and even more leeway if there's more than one of them. Like, okay, this is not the worst. Even the furthest back one is in an okay position. But because there are two pathways, if you are being wise with your boss aggro and you recognize, hey, wait, one is on pink, one is on yellow, you can bring them down the separate pathways. And if they're coming in at the exact same time, you have to be really careful they don't just like stall right here on each other. But sometimes you can, it's like here and here. It's like if they're right here, it's a lot more annoying, I think, than if they're like, okay, coming in here. You have more freedom on where you can stall this because it's like, okay, stall this. You slam it and then you jump backwards, and then as you're shooting onto the top of it, the other one just kind of naturally comes into place. Because lids are fast, and this is often the kind of map where you get a lot of bosses coming in at the same time. Often what you need to do is you need to stop the lids and then either slam them and start shooting onto them from behind, like slam it here, position here, shoot onto it to kill it, or you just stop it, move backwards, and then the steelhead walks under it. Because if you just are all the way back here, the lid will come all the way over here, and then the steelhead comes in like here. I mean, that's fine, but now you have to shoot at two things at once, whereas it's like, oh, I'll intentionally stop the lid right here. Now the steelhead will walk in, and then the steelhead gets under the lid. That's a really nice position. Boom. We're we're eating big right there. That's good. Lids at the big shot cannon, I don't think is as impactful as it is on other maps, but it can be helpful, especially for these middle cannons like I was talking about, because you have a little bit less at your disposal. So if you can position a lid over it, that can give you an advantage on this big shot cannon to like kill everything. But I also think that it's really easy because this is like a kind of big shot cannon where everything funnels into it. It's really easy for this to become out of control. Where it's like, hey guys, we got 40 eggs at this big shot cannon. What do we do? Like, how are we supposed to handle this? So you can use the lids at the big shot cannon on this map, but I don't think it's quite as effective as on other maps, simply because of how the map, like, usually the positional advantage that you get for these outer cannons is that you jump backwards, which means that you're not within slamming distance of the lid, and now the lid is spawning lessers and blocking your line of sight. But it can still be really useful because as long as the lid doesn't start moving away, all you have to do is jump in and everything dies. And you're still allowing the lures to like be ignored. But I don't think that the lid hydraulic press is quite as useful here as other maps, but it's still something good to keep in mind. Okay, so now we've gone over all the bosses. Early game on this tide, I think, like I was saying earlier, I like to go aggressive. I like to get down up in here, fight. Um, but I also like to allow drizzlers to come in, and if there's like 3 lurables spawning in, pragmatic side of me says it's probably going to be easier for the team to just position in the back. I'm kind of neutral on like spawn camping these early bosses, early lurables versus allowing them to walk in. The upside of killing them quickly is you maintain map control, which is beneficial on a front to back map. The upside of letting them come in is that if drizzlers start spawning, like here, you're in a, or not, don't position all the way back here, but like somewhere like here. Okay, now the drizzler jumps in, you easily take care of it, the drizzler's nice. So it's kind of almost, in some senses, I think, a gamble of do we think a drizzler's going to spawn, do we think a static's going to spawn? Like, if you choose to be aggro and 2 drizzlers spawn, uh-oh, that's not very good, because you can shoot one of them down, but then let's say the other one goes to this spot. It's like, well, that kind of sucks. But then you choose to be back here, and then a flyfish spawns. Push up. And now it's like, okay, well, we have to kill these anyways. If we had killed them a bit faster, we could have started running their eggs a bit earlier. But usually what I do is I toe the line, like I was saying earlier. Like, position just such that if a flyfish spawns or a stinger spawns, I'm ready to just go. And if a drizzler spawns, I'm ready to get out of the way. That's how I like to play this map at the start. And then, like I was saying, in the middle, it kind of becomes a cyclical thing where it's like, do everything at the shoreline, get back. Lure, kill. Do things at the shoreline, okay, get back, lure, kill. You can often be a bit more aggro than you think. And then late game, you often will end up with a lot of eggs like here and here. Late game, I still want to get bosses a bit closer because I don't want these 2 egg piles to just become like massive dumps of eggs that are just way too much. But if there are a lot of eggs here, which there naturally often is, what you need to be wary of is that lessers don't have to move very far to get to these eggs. Like all they have to do is like spawn here, okay, go over onto the ramp, and now they're annoying you. So keeping an eye on what the spawn group is, it's like, oh, it's left. We need to like stack on these eggs, get them out of the way quickly, or else these lessers are gonna get here and start annoying us. And now you move over to the right, and the lessers have more distance to move. That's how I usually handle it. I think that is about everything I had to say about this tide. If anyone has any questions, oh wait, no, Snatchers. Hold on, we gotta discuss Snatchers. The army. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. The army, it grows. Okay, Snatchers, where are you, my friends? There you are. These Snatchers over in the back corners are not very helpful. They do bring eggs onto the flank, but like not in a great position. So usually if I see these Snatchers, I don't actually worry about them too much. They don't really impact my decision making, except, of course, like I was saying earlier, with these fish sticks, they can still help you with like these guys. Just like grab them. First HLM game, yeah, true. You can see the one big shot cannon in there. That's true. It's like the snatcher. It can pick up these eggs and then you kill it and it drops them on the floor for you. That's nice. But like, what are these guys grabbing? They're just gonna grab eggs that are already in a good position and then bring them away, usually. So I wouldn't say ignore these, but they aren't like if you see these, you can effectively think, oh yeah, they optimize the back stick. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's like these are guys that are like they help with eggs in the back. That's mainly what their purpose is, other than to annoy you. These ones that are in the like closer to basket area, a bit more helpful, cause oh not chum. Eggs that are like here, they'll bring these over onto the flank into 1 egg throw distance, which is pretty convenient. And they also do the opposite. Like they'll bring eggs from over there onto this area. So sometimes if I'm wanting to run eggs that are back here, but we have these snatchers and there's like a lurable, I'm a bit less inclined to stall that lurable for the eggs because I know that the snatcher will pick it up. But these snatchers are in a kind of awkward position. If you want to kill them while they're flying over, you really need to be proactive about positioning over there such that you can actually do that. Okay. I think that's all I had to say about low tide. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask, and I will try to answer them. I think that the play style for this map is very position dependent, and I think it helps to have a good understanding of where you control on the map naturally, which is like these flank routes, and where you don't, which is like this far area, and play around those ideas. Now we're going to move to high tide. We'll do normal tide last because that's the hardest one, I think. Remember to prioritize the side the eggs are closest to for the bad snatchers, and that's it. Oh, yeah, true. So, yeah. If you have these snatchers, it takes longer for them to get over to eggs over here than it does for eggs over here. So they're faster to take these and get away and run with them. So if you're given eggs, like, I don't know, let's say like this, and you don't really see any reason to prioritize one or the other, but you have these snatchers, prioritize the one closest to the snatchers, because the snatchers are a bit slower to interfere with these ones. That's what sad face is getting at. Okay. High tide. Let's look at the spawn groups. Okay, so high tide, as you can see, I think as opposed to low tide, which is a very front to back. I think that this one ends up being a bit more left to right, because it's like, I mean, well, we have these two left groups and then we have one right group. It's still kind of front to back. Like they have to move. You can, in a sense, move backwards and lure a lot of things in. But I think that if you want to get good lures, you do have to play this kind of like a left to right map. And so, common traits of left to right maps that I like to think about is oftentimes you can go like to the left while the right is coming in, or vice versa, and then be like multitask in a way that you can't on front to back maps. Because it's like, oh, there's a bunch of eggs over here. That's also where we need to go to lure. Okay, perfect. We go over there, and now we're luring and we're bringing in eggs and a teppy. But it's not like super it's not like super left to right, because it is lopsided over here. So in many instances, the right side almost becomes like the back of the map if you're playing it like a front to back map. But I would avoid thinking about it that way, because I still do think it's important that these right bosses get lured when the opportunity presents itself, especially these ones in the back corner here. I think often like a steelhead or a little stall back here, I really don't like that. It's really annoying, even if you have good snatchers, because no one wants to be over here to kill it. So sometimes it just cycles and cycles and cycles. First things first, let's discuss egg position. So I think whoa, I need my brush. Okay. I think the most difficult to run eggs are over here on the left. Like these eggs, this is brutal. There's two spawn groups. Lesser spawn right on top of them. Um, you really don't want eggs over here unless you can avoid it, or if you can avoid it. Sometimes you can't. Like stingers can spawn back here. Then I would say like over here ish. And then actually I'm gonna put a bit more red, which is eggs back here. I don't like them. Maybe that's I just really don't like them back there. Like here. Now, the main thing about these eggs, you might be surprised. Actually, I think this left orange is a bit much. It's more like here. Yeah. Actually, I'll make this. This is still orange, but you may be surprised to see this here, because it's like these eggs are pretty close to basket, but the problem is lessers. Lessers just spawn right on top of these. I think it's like you take an egg that is like here and you move it to like here, it's already so much better, because it's already no longer gonna have lesser spawning directly on top of it. Depending on the spawn group, and then just like yellow, it's like, all right, this is fine. Gonna be like here, basically this. Hold on. I'm not drawing this super well. Just like here, like these are pretty good eggs. I don't mind these eggs. Oftentimes this is where like steelheads and lids will get stalled and you just kill them. That's pretty nice. But then where I actually really want the eggs is like in here along this rim, and you might be. I'll explain the distinction of why. No, not over there. Hold on. Da, 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 da. Like this green. My drawing skills today not very good. Basically, if they're along this rim, you could often treat them as if they're up on the top, because it's like you go over to here. You're still up top. You have not had to fall down. You have not had to jump. You're big enough that you'll pick up an egg right here. And you can squid roll back and just kind of run these eggs really fast. and then dark green. Boom. Okay. So this is generally this dude. This yellow is so bad. Hold on. Whatever. It's just hopefully you get the idea. Um. So this dark green is where I like these eggs. This red is where I really don't like these eggs, and then everything in between is like going from bad to good. So let's discuss how we actually get the eggs into those positions. So let's say a left lure is happening. We've got bosses over here. Eel. I think that what tends to happen naturally, if you aren't thinking of, if you aren't, if you're just positioning like a bit back as you naturally would, like just like on over here to lure, or even just like here, what can often happen is that like these guys will come in and they'll stall like here, like somewhere on this ramp. And like I was saying earlier, I actually like this ramp area is not the greatest position, I don't think, for eggs. I don't usually like eggs there, but that's where they often will stall naturally. So how do you avoid that? And the reason I don't like these eggs is because you have to go over to this left point to run them after they're dead. But that means that you're within stalling range of both left spawn groups and you're really close to the lessers that could start spawning. And so these eggs can just really pile up very fast. And they seem kind of close, but I think that it's almost like a trap to get a ton of eggs here. So how do you avoid that? Well, you position like back here on this like ramp. That's when the bosses will actually start to like move move backwards over here. Or not backwards, but like move towards the right over to where you are. That's what I want. But in order to do that, you have to position left to right, which is why I'm saying that this is a left to right and less like a front to back. Because if you just position back, I mean, they'll come in. They'll come in closer. But if you really want to get them in, like really want to get them good, you have to go all the way over. Boom. That's nice. That's great. I really like that. If you're on the right, or if you're on over here though, and a lid spawns here, it's really easy for the lid to go like, oh, I'm gonna park myself right here. That's really annoying. I hate it when these guys go back here. Okay, please. If there's one thing you can take away from my high tide, it's don't stall the bosses back here if you can avoid it. It might seem like, oh, who cares? Like the boss isn't a big deal, but it's just spawning lessers. A steelhead that's over there can throw stuff. The way this map is designed is that often you get a grace period where over on this right side. Let me remove the Snatcher nodes real quick, just for now. Okay. It can, like, it's like, okay, the right side is, you, like, 2/3 of the time, the bosses are not spawning on the right side. Which means that for the left or right luring, you often have the right side available to you to lure. But then you plop a steelhead or a lid right here, and now you have to go and deal with them or suffer the consequences of steelhead bombs exploding or lid like spawning a bunch of lessers. And then by like if you start moving over here to try to lure them in, now other bosses are often spawning on the left. And it's like, ah. So usually, here's what I like to do. I like to step back for them, and usually if they're on right, I mean, think about it. It was probably, unless it's the very first spawn group, it had to have been a left spawn group. So if there's a right spawn group, you very naturally have an opportunity to go, oh, there's some annoying eggs over here from a stinger, or there is a stinger that's alive. I'll go over and handle them, and we'll take advantage of these right bosses. And they end up like somewhere like here, or even somewhere more like here. And now it's back to left, and it's naturally often like, okay, I want to go back to the right. Okay, well now they're in a good position to do so. You can be effective, you can kill them, you can multitask while running these eggs, and then the left friends are moving in. So I would take care that the right side does not become like you aren't thinking about it as the quote unquote back of the map, like a front to back map. I don't think you should play it that way. I think you should play it more like a left to right, where you think about that side as the right in the same way that the left side is the left, and you can lure in the right. Just because it's lopsided, you are often going to be using the right as the position where you lure more often than opposite. But that doesn't mean that you're never going to be in a position that is vice versa, where you're using the left to lure the right. So don't ignore those right bosses. Okay, let's go over every boss. So steelhead. Steelheads from back here take a moment. You don't want to stall them here if you can avoid it. Although it's not the end of the world if they stall here, but it's like, it's not good. You also, if they spawn like here, you might think, oh, let's just spawn camp them, which is, it's okay, but I would still like to get them in a little bit closer before killing them. Like I was saying earlier, eggs right here are like lesser, they're right in the lesser pool, and they're also close enough to these left bosses that it's really easy to start stalling stuff. Eggs like more like here. Small difference from there to there, but it makes a huge difference for your egg running capabilities, I think. Are a lot easier. So steelheads, like I was saying with low tide, I think that steelheads often their position is what determines when the lure ends because they're the slower, they're like the slowest ones. So often it's like, oh, the lid has arrived. I don't know, somewhere there. The scrapper is here. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll stop the lid, stop the scrapper, and then even though there's a really juicy slam right there just waiting to happen, is the steelhead in? No, not quite. So you just kind of hold everything else in place, let the steelhead come in, and then boom. Then you handle it. Same way like I was talking about like a low tide. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes the steelheads move in first, and so you actually want to do the opposite, where it's like, oh, the lid is taking a while to come in. We'll try not to stall the steelhead for as long as we can so that the lid can get more distance. But usually that's not what happens. Usually the steelhead is the one that I think determines when you want to end the lure. Okay, next up. Fly fish. Okay, so fly fish on this map, what I often like to do is use this positioning over here to bomb them. Because if you try to go over here, you often have to contest a lot more lessers and bosses, and you're put in a worse spot as far as stalling stuff. But if you go over here, it's easier to bomb these bosses. I mean, these fly fish. So, what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, if you kill this fly fish, there's some positions with it where the eggs will fly into like over here, over here. These eggs, I think, are pretty high priority. If you get the chance to run them without stalling anything, try to take it. This one usually will spawn the eggs over in a nice position. This one's the stinker though. This one will often spawn the eggs in a not so good position that we don't like. This is like blech, one of the worst positions for eggs possible on this map, and the fly fish just gives them to you. So that's actually one reason to stay on top of the fly fish, is that if there's a fly fish here, the spot is now occupied. Basically, I don't want fly fish to get forced into this position where the eggs are in a horrible spot if I can avoid it. If possible, to avoid it. So I like to kill these fly fish fast. And also, I mean, it's a cramped map. Missiles are a problem. Often when I'm killing these fly fish too, what ends up happening is I need to go up and around. Because it'll be like a steelhead's walking in. I'm over here trying to bomb this fly fish. I'm avoiding the stall. I'm avoiding the stall. Okay, now I need to go. And then it will come into the teammates that are over here, or it will stall. But if the team is ready to lure it, because if I come back down through here like the way I went over onto it, steelhead activates on me. This fly fish over here, I very rarely see this one. This fly fish over here is a bit annoying as well because it will also spawn its eggs like right in the lesser swamp. So these are also high priority eggs compared to other right eggs. Like something like this. These are higher priority by a good margin than these ones, in my opinion. Okay. Now let's pull up Scrapper. So Scrapper, often you might want to often what I see is that Scrappers can get killed anywhere from like here to here in a realistic game that I play. I like it when they're killed here because these eggs are like super fast, and often what you get on this map tide is there are a lot of eggs down in here because like fly fish will spawn eggs like here. Often it's kind of hard to get lids and steelheads to go all the way in, so they just kind of naturally die around here. Or it's like, oh, that eel looks dangerous, I'm going to kill it here. If I can get a boss up into this area around basket easily with scrappers, you can often. I take that because it is super nice to have like genuinely three just instantly put these in. Yes, he. I don't know what I'm saying. Like excitement noises basically because it's happy. It's good. I like scrappers there. It's okay to stall them like on this ramp if you have to, but I don't really know. Let me think. Why would you have to? I guess it's like you want to go for far eggs. Okay, you stop it, you turn it. Okay, that's fine. But if you can, and you often can, just let it move in a little bit closer. Have it just let it come in like here. Turn it towards your teammate. Like yellow over here. Then you handle it, and it's pretty easy. And it's just like really nice to have these eggs at basket. Okay, that's about all I had to say about scrappers. I mean, they're scrappers. They're pretty fast lurables, so and they also don't mind your positioning all that much. Although, I should say, if you're over here and you're trying to deal with that fly fish and the scrappers coming, be wary because it will start coming up coming up to this position onto the spiral. So that's one of those things where it's like, okay, I need to leave. Although with these, it's less go up and around, and it's more just like dart out and jump over here. This platform also has a nice advantage with scrappers where it's like they're annoying you. Okay, jump up. Now they're not, basically, because they have to go around to get up to you, which is the way you want them to go, anyways. Okay, eels. Hello, tofu. Okay, so eels. Eels are interesting on this map. There are multiple ways you can lure them. Usually, like you're positioned, I don't know, back here. They'll end up coming over like this. This can be a problem. So how can we avoid that? Well, the person with eel aggro, sometimes what I like to do is make them hug the back wall. Then they're just a little bit less intrusive. And you're like, okay, pink can still be on this ramp. It's just like it's a little bit closed off now. As opposed to the eel comes in at this diagonal. Uh-oh, pink has to just like completely, all right, grab pink, come on now. Yes, there we go. Pink has to like get out of the way. Something that also sometimes happens to eels is that like um oh, I think that someone sent a swear word and YouTube didn't like that. Anyways. So eels are moving in and then they come up over here. And then they start like twisting around basket. And that seems really horrid. But it can have a benefit of like the eel becomes like nice and close to basket. But I wouldn't do that. Like I was saying, I like it when they hug the back wall. Or alternatively, um, If they go around the front, this has the same deal where it's like, oh, this could be quite bad, but it could also be quite good depending on why you're doing it. Like, oh, you're trying to lure a bunch of bosses over here. Naturally, like let's say a steelhead's walking in and a lid walking in. Where are you going to go to kill these guys? You're going to move over here, right? So if you have the eel going around here, normally I would not like that, but it can be like a good thing sometimes. And I think those are the two major ways I like to lure eels, is either have them go around the back or have them go around the front. But regardless, the eels deserve the profanity. True, true. If I was better at YouTube, I would just allow that, but I need to figure it out. Anyways, um, yeah. So you need to kill the eels at a specific. Like you need to be very wary of them. You need to have them in your mind always. Basically, it's like, I mean, not actually always because they're not always on the field, but like if there's an eel, who's it targeting? Figure that out. Where do you want to kill it? Figure it out. Which way do you want to lure it? Figure that out. If you just like don't think about it too much, the eel will just kind of start causing problems really fast, and it can be really hard to come back from that. I don't usually worry about the eel eggs getting all the way to basket either. Sometimes, just naturally, it works out that way where I'm like, this eel isn't really causing any problems. We could let it get to basket. But usually, like eels, okay, it's fine if the eggs are here or here. Even though I already said earlier, don't do that. But like here, here-ish. Eels are an exception because they're just so intrusive. Like they're so annoying. They're lureable, but like, do you really want to? Depends. And usually my answer is no. Okay. If they're coming from the right, it's kind of the same deal. Although, usually there's less to lure with them because there's only there's only 1/3 of the bosses over here. So, like the spawn group will change back to left. So usually these eels, I don't mind as much. I'm usually faster about killing these ones because I'm going to end up wanting to be on the right. Eel hitbox is my behated. Yes, true. Turning eel hitbox is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so if they're coming from right, you can kill them kind of fast. I think lureable at the cost of basket space. That's a really good way of putting it. Like the cost is often very great of luring an eel, great enough that it's like, maybe not. Let's not do that this time. Which is why I'm saying actually kill this right one, because this one usually starts consuming the space that you want to have open if you want to lure left. So it's like, whatever. I'll just kill it. That's how I usually think about this eel, personally. If they're coming from the right. But they can also like jump scare you. Like usually you're positioned oriented towards the left and then the eel comes in from behind and they're so quiet. So make sure to be aware of your spawn groups. Like if it switches to right and there's an eel, be prepared. Again, know who it's targeting and prepare accordingly. Okay. Hold on. Okay, stinger. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I completely forgot. I think that this website has, yeah, stinger. Oops, I forgot about these. These back stingers are like uber priority eggs. The other ones are actually not the worst, really. This one is kind of bad. This one's also pretty high priority eggs. If you do get a fly fish that spawns eggs here or a stinger that spawns eggs here, I started thinking where I want to kill eels by making sure tail is 1/3 away from basket, not too far but not too close since his front will always be closer to teammates causing dangers. I see. I think that 1/3 away is a good distance. Usually. Okay, so if you get eggs over here, here's the way. Here's how I run them. Go over here, jump across, like throw one, grab a second, jump back across. And it's really important in the pregame before the wave begins. These walls, like paint this platform paint this platform, paint both of the walls, because even though this is like really over in the spawn group, nothing really goes up onto this platform unless you're going over there for eggs. Like if eggs spawn here and you painted that, okay, it's still your color. You can jump over there and grab it. And because the eggs get swarmed so fast, usually what you do is it's like throw one, grab another, leave, just get out of there. There's very little time. That's often what you have to do if there are lessers there. If there aren't that many lessers there, or you have a teammate and you're confident, you can stay a bit longer. But like I was saying, I really like using these two ramps as positioning when going for these eggs is a nice way to get over to them. Okay. Yeah, like I was saying earlier, this stinger. That one's kind of a sleeper annoyance, I think. Because if a lid spawns with it, it's really annoying because then you kind of have to stall the lid. If the snatcher, or I mean, if lessers are still spawning over here, you have to go into their domain. So give this stinger a bit more attention than like one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. And these back three are just awful. So if you have to give up on these eggs, I mean, you often will. That's okay. Moz have this funny thing where, like, if you're positioned, like, let's say pink. Pink is positioned, like, right here, okay? The Moz is coming in, the Moz is coming in. You'd expect to go under pink, right? Nope. The Moz actually, or maybe it's right here. Nope, the Moz actually stops at the rim and attacks here. And like I was saying earlier, rim eggs is fine. Like, rim eggs are actually good, because you can just jump and grab them in squid roll, and it's as if they're on the platform to some extent. But because this is a Moz, it's so fast, all you have to do is, like, scooch a little bit back and now the Moz comes over. It's like such a small positional difference, but it actually does change the Moz, and it changes the eggs from being like half a throw to instant deposit, which is really nice. And the same thing happens over here. It's like, oops, the Moz is now stalling. Trolled. Okay, well, let's move back. Ooh, yay! He's not stalling anymore. Yeah. I feel you have to stand behind basket to make sure they get on the platform. Yeah, that's a consistent way to do it. I'm not sure if you actually have to go all the way that far, but yeah. If they're stalling on the lip, you just need to move a little bit further back. It's really awkward. I don't know why they do this. It's like what Sadface was talking about earlier on Low Tide. You just have to move back a little bit more. Um, Moz, I usually don't end up in positions where I'm far away and a Moz is on me. But if I am, because of, like I was talking about these ramps, keep them off the ramp. Like if you can, like scooch a little bit over here. Like, oh, there's a Moz. Okay, scooch over here. Now the Moz is activating right there. And then you go over back to the eggs, and the Moz is kind of not annoying you. And usually you have to get out really fast anyways. So by the time the Moz is ready to attack you again, you're gone. Okay. Drizzler. Oh boy. Okay. Drizzlers are, for me, the hardest lurable to handle. They're just very difficult because, let me pull up the Drizzler spots. So you get it to D, right? It can go to B. Okay, that's awesome. A. It can go to B. Like, let me pull up these links. Like, look at this. You want them at basket, right? Surely it can't be that hard to get them to basket, right? And then you look at the thing for C, and it's like, ooh. You need to, and if like you have to like stand like here if you want this C Drizzler to jump to basket. It's really awkward. It's kind of hard, and if even you need to also be the closest player to them. So it's like, oh, okay, well, blue squid is over here, bombing the fly fish. Oops, Drizzler leaves. It's actually so annoying. One of the benefits of standing like a left to right map, like I was talking about, is that you'll naturally be in good positions to lure in these drizzlers. Like, look, oh, okay, I was already over here to, I don't know, lure the steelhead. Now the drizzler jumps in. But oftentimes you're not so lucky. The drizzlers are so fast, and you have 4 teammates that are often spread out, and you're trying to run 4 eggs. So these drizzlers, the way that I learned to deal with them originally is just reflect them. Like, they're just so annoying. I hate them. Kill them. And I think that is a fine way to do it. It's okay, but it's not good or great, which is, I mean, we want to be great, right? The advanced solution that I've found that is difficult to pull off, but like doable, is of course they'll fire twice and then jump. After they've fired twice, and make sure you shoot down both torpedoes, please shoot down both torpedoes. You can position, if it's on the left or the right, not the middle, but if it's on the left or the right, keep in mind, they will jump towards the closest player. We have control over that. You just make yourself the closest player as it jumps. Be on the right side, it goes to basket consistently. It's so nice. If it's on the left or the right, you are in almost direct control. Like, I guess not technically because your teammates can still mess you up. But it's like, okay, position like here. It's so nice. I mean, if you have eggs over here, you can't really do it with the right one. So it's mainly the left one. But you have a lot of control over after they've stalled where they jump. Exert that control. Like, you can get them to basket. It is a thing you can do, but also you need to be really fast on your killing pace. And when the drizzler's jumping, often what you'll have is there aren't a whole lot of drizzler spots. So it's like you get 2 on the opposite side. There's only 1 spot at basket. If A spawned a little bit later than D, sometimes what you get is it's like, oh, D is jumping and kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. It's like right is a bit harder. Yeah. If you go and kill it fast, boom, B is still open. Now A can jump in. But if you're a bit slow or you aren't aware of it and it jumps to basket, oops, now A jumps to C, and now they're in the really annoying spot that I don't like. And why is it the really annoying spot that I don't like? It's because, I mean, just look at this. Like, it's so easy for someone to just be like here, here, here. I guess maybe not like there, but it's really hard intuitively to be like, okay, I need a position here, and then all of my teammates need to know not to be anywhere around this spot, or else they're gonna take the aggro instead and take it somewhere annoying, and they can't be up here. Like, it's just the middle spot. If there's one spot that I'm more likely to just reflect because it's annoying, it's the middle spot. Rain is brutal on high tide when neglected. Yes. You need to be so aware of these drizzlers on high tide, because if you aren't actively trying to lure them, they'll often just jump back and forth and be little annoying gremlins just constantly existing, and then they'll just constantly be shooting torpedoes, and it's just like, it's like awful. It's just so much added pressure at all times. So if you want to lure them in, try to be active about it. Exert all the control that you can, that you have. You have more than you think you do, I think. Or I think one has more control over the drizzler aggro than one would think. At least that's how I was. I didn't realize how much control I had until I started to exert it. But if you aren't comfortable doing that, you're still a newer overfisher. Even if you're like a veteran overfisher, but you're still having trouble, like, this is hard. Reflecting them is fine. Especially these mid and right spots. You can run these eggs sometimes. But if you want to lure them, like I was saying earlier, try to exert your control. Try to be the closest player and try to put yourself in a spot where they'll jump to basket. You might be surprised how often you can actually, and consistently, you can get them to do them, especially if it's on this left one. Okay. Next, boss. Alright, that's not the right option. Okay, fish sticks. So fish sticks have this nice thing on this map, Tide, where weapons with lower range can cancel them more consistently than other maps. Because you have this, I mean, the spirals gives you such a great height advantage on these guys. So I really love canceling them. Canceling these sticks is super helpful. because they're in such obnoxious spots. Like the actual stick itself, it blocks your shots on steelheads. It makes it more annoying to like maneuver around here. That's gonna be fun to practice the sockeye. Yeah, and you could do it a lot of normal tide too. I'll show you later. Um, this back one you can't do that though with. So this one is often gonna plant itself a bit faster, but trade off. It's not in as annoying of a position, right? Like it's not. It is an annoying position because it's in a paint basket, but the stick itself, the fishless stick, is actually it's not as intrusive, I think, as these two. I gotta get this drizzler map. This is the center one. Yeah. Left stick depression. Yeah, yeah. So if you can cancel these, I think it's a good idea too. I don't like them, and I also don't like having to climb up them on high tide. I'd like to be doing other things. It's a lot faster if the eggs just fall to the ground. Then you can just pick them up and throw them. Um, so that's about all I have to say about fish sticks. I mean, if they're neglected, they're gonna cause problems, but that's not really a sockeye thing. That's just a fish stick thing, right? Like they're just pretty annoying. Um, Now, flopper. Okay, flopper. I kind of really like. Maybe this is strange. I like it when floppers are kind of in these positions at basket. Hold on, where is it? Like here or here. Here is also great. Don't get me wrong. Or like here or here. But right here, it's kind of harder for other bosses to get onto the floppers zone when they're in this little position up here. And so it's often really easy to paint if they're like this. Because if you like they can jump up to there really fast. Other bosses have to go all the way around and then go over there. So I often like putting floppers like here or here on purpose. Because now their zone is really easy to paint because there's nothing on it. However, sometimes it's nice to have bosses on them because then you kill the bosses and they paint the flopper for you. So then you might want to have them here. That's just something to keep in mind. Floppers, I think on this map are good like you like getting floppers. But if you allow them to cycle at basket, they will claim it really fast. And that can be really irritating. So like you like to get them, but also pay them mind. Pay them mind and where you put them. Pay them mind and that they die fast. And I mean, yeah, they should be pretty efficient for you. If they're like here or something, I wouldn't worry about killing them or even painting. Well, just I like them to get to basket. I think it's very rare that I see an instance where I feel like I have to kill them here, unless it's the very beginning of a wave and it's just like, well, we have everyone, all hands on deck, let's just do it, because why not? I gotta. Sorry. And now I'm okay. No big shots on this tide, unfortunately. You can observe on the spiral. Lids. Okay, so here's the thing about lids. Sometimes directing them to basket when I handle shore is single-handedly the best trick I've learned recently. Oh wait, you're right. You're right. Flopper deluring is actually relevant here. If you're trying to run these back eggs, you're over here and there's a flopper. You're on a ledge and there's water. It's not that hard to just, you have the opportunity to. I won't say it's not hard. You have the opportunity to jump over the water or jump over from the little ramp elevation and get these eggs while not bringing the flopper over here. The flopper will instead jump to basket. Say, "Oh, I'm in midair." As the flopper emerges, goodbye. Have a good time. Okay, it's gone. Yay. Okay. Okay, so the lids will stall on each other sometimes on this map, and there's nothing you can do about it. In the sense that once they're they're gonna stall. You can't control them stalling, but you can control how you respond to that, of course. So how do we do that? First of all, I'll explain where I want the lids, like ideal. Here's what happens. Lid comes in, flies over here. Okay, pink backs up. The lid comes in. Now it's here, slam it. Yay! Good, happy. Comes from the right side. It's like the same thing, but in reverse. Like, lid comes in. Oh, move backwards. Or move to the left. Now the lid comes over. Slam it. Yay, we're happy. But if the lid comes over here, and then another lid spawns like here, and you're positioned here, it's like, uh-oh. You gotta handle this fast. Stalled lids on this tide are not a joke. Like, they will cause so many problems so fast. So, like I was saying, I don't really like having eggs here. You know what I really, really don't like having? Is stalled lids. So kill them, like please, or kill one of them and get out of the way, but usually it's just, okay, these gotta go. Like, we gotta just take them down and run these eggs. Same thing with over here. Don't position here, please, because I mean, don't position over here when a lid is over, like spawning in, because if you stall the lid, oh, it's so annoying, because now there's just lessers coming in from right, even when it switches over to the left spawn group. It's annoying. But because of the nature of the left spawn group to kind of like be lopsided and spawn a bunch of bosses in, oops, all lessers, yeah. Yeah, that's what it can feel like if there's stalled lids on Sockeye Station High Tide. If you get lid in, like here, it can be really nice to just start slamming stuff. Like, oh, here comes a scrapper, boom. Here comes a steelhead, boom. Eel is passing through, boom. But you don't want to leave it alive. I don't like hydraulic pressing it, where it's just like keep slamming it over and over again. I do want to clear it out. Because as long as it's alive, I mean, of course, it's just you have to keep slamming it or else it's going to spawn lessers, and we don't like that. And you can't run its eggs until it's dead. So yeah, be wary of lids. I would say just overall, if I can give one piece of advice with lids, don't stall them unless you think you have to. And if they do stall, which will happen sometimes, even outside of your control, handle it fast. Like, really high priority, it needs to get done. If there's eggs in the lid, don't worry about the eggs, get the lid, please. Okay. Now, we can discuss Big Shot, just kidding. We can discuss Snatchers. Okay, so there are two. No, that's the wrong one. There are two far nodes for Snatchers, and there are two basket nodes for Snatchers. So these far nodes are a bit less useful, but they are still useful. And these basket nodes are quite useful, especially this one. So, what can this one optimize? It can grab these far eggs from like the most annoying position and bring them into one egg through distance, sometimes over up on the spiral. Usually, the way I like to handle them though, is that when they're flying over this area, this is where I like to take them down. Partially because if they go all the way up on the spiral, you have to like swim, and it takes more time to get up there. But also, if they start moving, something about the way that they speed up is like they pick up an egg here, all right, they start going like Mach 10 around here and fly through the wall, and you just can't do anything about them. And even if you do manage to kill them, they still just drop their eggs back like here or something. I genuinely can't explain why they do this. But they just start moving so fast, so yeah. Try to kill them around here, I think, if they're picking up eggs from this left area and bringing them over to the right. That's where I like it. If they are from this side, they will do the same thing, but for these back eggs. So let's say you get that annoying stinger that's like back in here. Okay, well this snatcher will pick up those eggs, bring them into a really convenient spot, like right here. So, like, Yeah, that's what the snatcher can do. But the snatcher also makes it so that these left eggs are taken in a blink of an eye. So if you have these far left snatchers and you have these far left eggs, these eggs are like genuinely could not be any higher priority to run compared to any other eggs. So it's like, okay, if you have the chance to run them, please do it fast and get out quickly. But also don't force it too. Like you don't want to start causing issues by running these eggs. Sometimes you have to give them up, but if you get the opportunity to run these, like there's one steelhead over there and there's still time in the wave, like these are super high priority with these left snatchers because they'll just take them so fast and then they're gone and then it's sad. Where you really start cooking with gas is these basket snatchers. The right especially. I mean, look at what this picks up. It picks up all this stuff, it brings them in. Picks up all that stuff, it brings them in. It picks up. Like, you can just kind of like kill stuff. Like, if there's stingers over there, sometimes you might think, okay, we're not going to worry about that stinger until we are done worrying about this steelhead and the scrapper. Where is lid? Yeah, and this lid. Like, we'll handle these guys first, then the stinger. After we've like lured them in and handle them. If you have these good snatchers and it's before 60 seconds, you can just kill everything, kill the stinger, yay, and then it brings the eggs in for you. It's so nice. Like, this is like the best snatcher position you can get. So look out for this. If you see this, know that you are a lot more free when it comes to how you handle the left side, because you can be a lot more aggro and get away with it just fine. If you get these, it's like the same deal but with right. You have a lot more freedom with how you handle the right side. But also these guys pick up eggs like right here super fast, so be aware of that. And honestly, the thing about this, even if you have these good snatchers, does not mean that you should kill early. Because this, like I was saying earlier, sometimes what you get is it's like, okay, there's like, let's say no stinger. Okay, these three bosses are coming in. And you have like, I don't know, a handful of eggs from a spawn group that just happened. You don't actually have to optimize because it might be more efficient just to take the time to run these eggs while these bosses move in. Because if you go over and start optimizing, these eggs aren't getting run by you at least. And if your teammates are helping you, then the eggs are getting run. So sometimes it can still be helpful to lure, even when you have the really good snatchers. And that's especially true, I think, with these guys. Because I think the optimizing right side is usually a bit less advantageous and is more advantageous to be like, okay, here come the bosses from the right side. We're not going to snatcher optimize these. We're going to focus on these eggs because these eggs are going to be taken faster. I think that is more important than the snatcher optimization. So that's how I think about the snatchers here. As per usual, if you have left snatchers, they make the left eggs higher priority because they'll take them faster. If you have right snatchers, they make the right eggs higher priority because they'll take them faster. So like eggs right here, this guy's going to snatch them real fast. So that's, I think, all I have to say about high tide. If you do get this funny big shot cannon over here, that definitely exists, and I'm definitely not being sarcastic. You do want to camp it for 100 seconds. Okay, perfect. Now we can move on to normal tide. Oh, looks like I already put some guys down. Goodbye. Okay, so normal tide. This is like the main course for Sockeye. I think that the small chance that steelhead spawns mid-wave. Oh, wait, no, you're right. I do need to talk about that. Okay, one thing to keep note about this with these snatchers is that watch the direction that the snatcher flies. Okay. See how it crosses right here. Now, we were talking earlier. Where do we usually like to have steelheads? Right here. So this steelhead has a tendency to blow up the snatcher. And sometimes you'll get a steelhead that's like here, and it's like, oh, whatever, we'll just kill it there. Oops, the snatcher was flying over. You just blew up the snatcher, and now we're all sad. So that is another thing to keep in mind with these snatchers, that they are very prone to getting caught in collateral damage, which is why I said 60 seconds. I think they can actually optimize a bit further than that, but the specific reason I like 60 is because I think that has, for me, lined up better with collateral than a bit later. Because it gets them in just before or just as the period where it's like, all right, whatever, we'll just kill now and start running eggs. That period begins to start. That's around when the 60-second snatchers are starting to arrive. And lids, if they stall her badly, yes. So be aware of collateral. Sometimes the steelheads stall here, and you're like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to kill it. But be careful. Make sure there isn't a snatcher that's about to get blown up or slammed or otherwise killed. Same thing if it's coming in from the right side. Because if you set yourself up with a ton of snatcher optimization, and then you aren't careful and you kill the snatcher, it's like one of the fastest ways to just like nuke the potential of the wave. So avoid doing that. Be careful. I would not advise killing these snatchers if you can avoid them. I mean, of course. But the way you have to avoid that, I mean, if you lure them in closer, that is nice to help. And also, like, if a steelhead or a lids is like I was saying earlier, like lids are awful. I think it's honestly more awful to kill a snatcher with a ton of eggs. So if it's like you have to wait a few seconds for the snatcher to get out of the way, that's okay. And also, lids have a tendency to like spawn over here, stall, or like come over here, stall sometimes. And because there's a drizzler spot right here, they're going to be a snatcher that are picking up quite a few eggs. There have been moments where I'm like, this lid sucks. But also slamming it is like -7 eggs because it's going to kill the snatcher and there's no time for it to come in later. So keep that in mind with the snatchers. You want them to live. Okay, normal tide. So the reason I'm talking about normal tide last, and the reason that I've been bringing up front to back and left to right map design, is that I think that this map tide is designed in such a way that it combines front to back and left to right map design depending on where you are in the map. Oh, wait, also before I forget, fish jump scare. Oh my gosh, look at that. Sorry, I just remembered this. It's shaped like a fish. I didn't know this for like a year. No one told me that Sockeye Station is a fish. Anyways, not important. Um, so, when you're trying to handle bosses on this map tide, here's the way I think about it. Let me go to an image. Yes. So I think that if you're in this area of the map, that's how I found out that fish. If you're in if bosses are in this area of the map, they have a tendency to start like if you kind of position over here in the back, and they funnel in, right? That's very front to back like. And I think that this also comes with the downsides of a lot of front to back maps. Like it's like this map control can be a bit easy to give up when you're moving all the way back. Like how you're luring steelheads in through this left hallway and then a left flyfish spawns. It's annoying. Like you have to fight through it like it's a front to back map. And so I think it gives you all like the challenges of a front to back map. But then look at how the bosses are coming in. Do you notice something? They're in a left to right formation. Like they're coming in from the left or they're coming in from the right or they're coming in from the left and the right at the same time. So I think that the reason this map is so everyone knows this is like one of the hardest tides in the game. It's because you need to know how to play front to back, and you need to know how to play left to right, and you need to know when to play like which. Unfortunately, I have to dip for IRL things with TY for the stream. Okay, thank you for watching. The VOD will be up, so anything you missed, you can go back and watch. Good luck. So keep that in mind while we're talking about this map. That's how I look at this map, is it's like a front to back, left to right hybrid. Which makes sense because it's like a normal tide. Like the low tide area is the front to back, the high tide is the left to right, and then the normal tide is like the melange. It's the more difficult one to play in a lot of ways because you need to understand both. So where do I like getting eggs? Oh, I should go back to the other image. Red is this area, or one of the red is this area. Oh my gosh. Eggs back in here. The positioning over here is just really annoying. It's so easy to get cornered back there. And then I would also put red down like over here. I'm actually not going to put the right spawn group, and I'll explain why in a moment. So this is what I would say is like the worst part of the map for eggs. These are the highest priority eggs, I think, on this tide level. Is like these ones over here on the left, and then these ones in the middle close to where the lesser spawn. Now, as far as like eggs, like they're not good. They're not the worst. It's like everything like so. And then eggs that I'm kind of neutral on is like here. Up on the spiral. Over in this area. And then we're getting good. Like in here. And then very good is basket. That's what I think. So why is this area over here, even though it's right next to the lessers and everything, why do I have this as orange? Actually, hold on. There's a little pocket of red in here, and it's this ramp. Or this ramp. I want them to be up on here, but why do I have this as being better than middle or left? I think it's easier to run these eggs because of the way the map is designed, where there's a ton of like 90-degree angle walls right here. It's a lot easier, in my experience, to grab these eggs and escape. And if you're in the middle, you have a tendency to just start attracting a bunch of aggro from everywhere. And if you're on the left, oh my goodness. This area, trying to grab eggs from here is like a nightmare, actually, because it's so small. It's deceptively small, especially if you're back in here. There's like a stinger that goes back there, the worst. But you can pick up these eggs and throw them. But the problem is that you're kind of forced into corridors. Like you have to go either like around here, or you could set up this wall. But it's really rare that we actually paint this wall. So that's how I view the eggs. But bottom line is, of course, you don't want the eggs to be super far away if you can avoid it. And we want to get them in past through these corridors. These choke points, like right here, and to an extent, right here. I love eggs that are 3 throws away. Is that 1? Oh, yeah. Whereas these ones are mainly like 2. Yeah, okay. So these choke points, I think, are like the turning point of the map where it stops playing like front to back and starts playing more like left to right. Because once the bosses start getting up into here, it's like, okay, we have lurables on both sides. We can't position back here if we want to get eggs into the dark green. Which I do want to get them into the dark green. Like, I would love to get them into the dark green. How do you do that? You position left to right. Like, okay, we got bosses coming in from the right. Let's all position like here. They'll scooch on in. Bingo. Nice. Perfect. But it's like, oh, we got lurables from both sides. You might think, let's position back here. They kind of stop a bit early. And also, you have, like, we don't want to position here. We're so far away from everything. Missiles are going to start piling up on you. Stinger lasers will pile up on you. Like, this is not a good position for the team to be. So I want to position instead, like, oh, their bosses are coming in from right, we position left. Bosses are coming in from left, we position right. And that gives you the benefits of a left to right map, which is like, okay, boss is coming in from the left side. We can go over here. We still control all this map if we, or at least we're like, it's really easy to just jump down there. We don't have to fight through much to get there. That's one of the benefits of a left to right map that you can use on Sockeye. Is it's like, okay, well, these guys are coming in. I see some far eggs over here that aren't going to be grabbed by Snatchers. Let's go get them. So let's go over to this map. So when luring on this map, I think that you can, whenever you're out here, it's not the end of the world to stall bosses. I don't think it's even that big of a deal because I think it plays a lot like a front to back map, where as long as you get out eventually, they will funnel in nicely and pretty easily. So you can, and I also think that it comes with the downside of the front and back map where it's like, it's hard to get the eggs out here, but honestly, it's not even that it's hard because you don't have map control. I think map control is honestly not that bad because you have the spiral always. Or I guess not always, but like it's, the spiral is, positioning wise, it benefits you more than it benefits the salmonids. So if you go over here, you go over here, you can push out into these areas without the most trouble. I remember Thanny said every map plays like JSJ if you think hard. That's so true. I think there are a lot of similarities, and I think the archetypes that I've talked about today of left to right and front to back, I'm not sure if I'm crazy or if they actually exist, but I think there are a lot of similarities between maps that can be explained in that way. Like, you play them in similar ways. Like, and I also think that left or right maps, the like quote unquote true archetype of a left or right map doesn't exist in the game, but the quote unquote true archetype of a front to back map might as well be Marooner's Bay High Tide. So take that as you will. But kill one side, lure the other. My favorite multitask. Yes, true. So yeah, I would play this like, these eggs, you can run them, I think, with a bit more impunity than one might think. Like, you can just kind of go and grab them, throw them over, get out. It's like, oh, okay, this still had stalled, but now it's moving in. And then it's like, okay, you move right. I guess more like here. It comes in. You're happy. So let's go over each boss individually, as per usual. Okay, steelheads. So, early wave, I don't actually mind just killing a steelhead immediately. I play this a lot like I do low tide, where I'm kind of pragmatic about it, where I think it's neutral overall. I think it's neutral to kill these bosses over on left, middle, or right far away, and then just like have the whole team run the eggs. Or it's okay to let them move in a little bit closer to like one egg throw range and then kill them. But pragmatically, I don't usually get a whole lot of opportunities to have the whole team on deck to kill these guys, so I end up letting them walk into one egg throw distance, but I toe the line, I stay as aggro as I can without stopping them, so that like, okay, we have a right steelhead moving in. if like, I don't know, Mr. Stinger spawns over here, I want to be ready to pounce. So I'm gonna position like, I don't know, here or something. It's hard to explain with a map, but like in game, intuitively, I have a sense of where the steelhead's gonna stall on me. So I kind of like, okay, he's moving a bit closer. I shift back. So if a stinger spawns, like, oh, okay, I'm going. And instead of being like, oh, a stinger spawns, let me like meander my way all the way over there. Like it's pretty far distance as opposed to being here. And what's the downside? You prefer to know Snatchers ASAP, especially on this tide? Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Maybe it's a bit less neutral. Maybe it is in the favor of killing these bosses early. I think you're right. So maybe less neutral. If you kill these bosses early, you spawn the eggs faster, you learn the Snatchers faster. So I think that actually that does tip it in the direction of being better to kill early. That's a good point. Okay, so uh, when the steelheads are in the later wave and we're trying to grab far eggs, like I was saying, I don't mind stalling a steelhead once or twice if I have to. If I have good snatchers for a steelhead, like this one, I often will just kill them fast because they're kind of slow lurables and they take a lot of pressure. Or, I mean, they take a lot of attention once they're starting to stall. But when we're luring them, I want them to come in like here. And the way you accomplish that is by, like I was saying, positioning on left. Now, the downside to stalling them, I was saying it was fine to stall them earlier, but the downside to stalling them far is that their aggro radius expands, because after you stall a steelhead once, it's like significant. Let me go. Let me quickly go and show you what I mean, just in case anyone doesn't know. You can see this on the 3D map, not on the 2D one. Okay, let's get, where is he? There he is. Okay, this is the steelhead radius, right? Pretty big. So this is the steelhead radius after you trigger it. So you can see the inner one, that's the original. The outer one, that's the bigger one. That's significant. That's huge. That's like a big difference. So that can actually come into play on normal tide when you're trying to lure it in. So you might, if you do stall a steelhead far, which I think is perfectly fine depending on the context, be prepared that you're probably not going to be able to lure it in as conveniently as you would if you hadn't stalled it. But yeah, like right here, that's good. I'm a fan. Um, if you have steelheads on this left side, one option that you have, you turn on squares on 3D, it's about 5-ish squares. On 2D, you can turn on a wire and estimate that way. I mean the grid. Oh, okay. I see. So like, I think it's this option. No. This one? Yes. So you're saying it's about 5, so like 5 square radius. Like 1, 2, 3. Hold on. It's like this ish. Something like that. That seems about right. Yeah, when installed already. Okay. What I was gonna say is that when you have, maybe the icon is a bit big. Oh, true. Hold on. So it'd be like this range, maybe. Anyways, when the steelhead is moving in, once the stream catches up, you can tell me if that's correct, what you mean or not. You can actually, depending on where it's coming from, you can make it go through this little left area instead of going through here. Ish, okay. And the way that you can do that is it's like, okay, you're positioned here, the steelhead will go in through there. You're positioned here, and the steelhead's coming from like here, here, here. It'll come in naturally through there. There are benefits, there are pros and cons. Sorry to derail, no, don't worry. There are pros and cons to both. If it comes in here, it's harder to stall it. But also sometimes it can be a bit more awkward if it does stall. Like, oops, it stalled here. It's a lot harder. This is like, you can't see it on this 2D map, but there's like a bunch of stuff in the way, right where this rush chum is, that can kind of block your shot. Whereas like right here, there's not anything. Rush reference, goodbye. We'll go over that in the corner. So yeah, with those steelheads, it's like, I want them to come in, and then you have to position left to right, get them in. If you're positioned up on the spiral, they'll start going up on the spiral. And so naturally what I think starts to happen is that we'll kill them here, or here, or here. I don't like that, actually. I think that that is okay at best. If it's possible to get them in closer, I want them. Even if getting them in closer means here. I think that here is significantly better than right here. Because this choke point is really small, and it's close enough to the shore that you can start stalling stuff in super bad positions that I don't like, I don't know, here. Or lessers, when they're coming in, like in the late wave, they'll just destroy you right here, but you get in just a little bit further, and it's better. You have more space to work with. It takes a little bit longer for the lessers to get in there, and all of that it has to do, all that it requires is that the steelhead moves for like an extra second before getting stopped. So be careful about these choke points. These choke points are brutal. Next boss, flyfish. Okay, so this flyfish, not so bad. This is actually one of the reasons that I put this right side as being not so bad earlier with the eggs. Is that, like, these eggs on this right side I think are easier to run than other positions on the map, just because of the way the map is laid out, where like the salmonids are kind of slower to annoy you because they have to go through this like long corridor, and you have walls that you can pretty nicely swim up. They're the kind of walls that you can get backed up into, but I feel like they're diagonal. You get more leeway with than with a wall like over here, where you just kind of get shoved back into it. It's like, uh-oh. So with this flyfish, kill it quick, of course. You're able to do that without having to move up a whole lot. Whereas over here, like this flyfish is fine, but this is not the first spot it will go to. This is the second spot. Normally it starts on this loop. And look how far up you have to go for that one. And look how far up you have to go for this one. So this right one, I like to keep this spot open as much as I can because I want more flyfish over there. I really like that spot. It's easier to run than other spots. This second one, it'll like, I think it goes here or something. Or that's my squid. Flyfish, you can floor bomb it. If you stand here, put the bomb like where my mouse is. Hopefully you can see that. It'll blow it up. That is, it requires you to be in a very precarious position to like go down here and roll the bomb along. But it can help you handle this flyfish much faster than you would otherwise. And sometimes it's like the difference between optimizing it with Snatchers, which we'll discuss in a bit, and not. Because it would like take an extra second or two to get your ink back. On normal tide though, if you're backed up, this is where one of like the front to back downsides comes in. So that in order to get to these guys, you have to push up a lot. Not this one on the right that much, but in order to get to like the left one especially, you have to push up. So these guys are often the recipient of specials. If you have killer whale, that's like goated. I love killer whale for this tide level because even if you're all the way over here in your little fortress and you have to go all the way out if you want to kill them, it's like, okay, pink can whale this and whale that and whale that. I mean, it's kind of hard to aim because you'll if there's like steelheads in the way or something, you can hit them. But it's possible if you are careful about it to not do that, and it's very helpful. Okay. Whoops. Scrapper. Scrapper will move in fairly quickly. I mean, it's a scrapper. When the scrapper gets over to basket, it's a lot like high tide. I do want it to get over up onto here, if possible. However, I think it's a little bit less needed than high tide. Like, I'm more okay with killing it like here-ish on normal tide than high tide, but I still prefer it to come over to here. Then you stop it and you turn it for a teammate. The main time I'm killing it down here is it's like let's say pink and yellow are at basket. Oh, a fly fish just spawned over in this area, right? Um, pink turns it to yellow and then leaves, just because that like the efficiency of killing it that way kind of outweighs like yellow having to like grab the aggro and bring it in. This is a really good position, I will say, to floor bomb scrappers. What I mean by that is it's like, okay, pink drops a bomb on the floor, hits the scrapper, turns the back towards the bomb blows up, and it immediately like fully breaks down the scrapper. It's kind of hard to do, but this area is really flat. And I think that on Sockeye, because of how much stuff there is going on the far, or how much potential productivity there is being far on this map and maintaining control, I just find myself naturally in a position to floor bomb scrappers on this tide specifically quite often. I think that's all I have to say about scrappers. Eels. Oh boy, eels. So, if you're down on this left area, beware of eels. Holy, these eels are tough to deal with. They will corner you really fast. Same with here. I was talking earlier, I like this position. I like running eggs down here when I can. But these eels, man. Oh, man. Okay. And even over here, they're kind of annoying. But if they're targeting you and you go up here, they will naturally kind of go over here. And then you can jump down and continue it. So they're annoying insofar as you aren't accounting for them. Once you start accounting for them with your positioning, they start moving in the direction that you want them to, I would say pretty consistently. And then once you get them to basket, it's a lot like what I was talking about on high tide, where you don't want them to go around basket and sort of like twisting into a pretzel. You want them to like stay in as straight of a line as you can, out of the way, nice and convenient. Sometimes that means going in front of basket, depending. But usually what that means for me is bring it like in like this. Or if it's coming from left and I am on the spiral, it'll start coming over around here. And then you can just kill it down here really easily. And these eggs are not in a great position, but you can do this to make the cereal really safe and consistent, and you can handle it on your own. So that's one option that you have against steel eels. Okay, next up, stinger. Stingers are especially annoying on the left side. On the right side, they're not so bad. The way that I see stingers, a lot like fly fish, is that let me pull up the stinger spots. The way that I see stingers is that they're quite intrusive in that, like, I mean, it's a stinger. Like, I don't think I need to explain. It shoots all the way across the map. That's obnoxious. But the eggs, I think, are high priority when you can run them, and low priority when there's a lot of other stuff going on. So if I have the opportunity to like get down to the stinger, I'll shoot it dead. But then whether or not I go for the eggs depends a lot on what's going on around it. Like, is there a bunch of lures already ready to come in? Because if the answer to that question is yes, I haven't just killed a stinger. Get out. Especially with these middle ones. Or this left one. But if it's not like, if there's only like a steelhead, these stingers I don't think are that bad. You can kill the stinger, grab like an egg, throw, grab a second one, get out. When the stinger is firing, this is why it's kind of bad to position like here. It's really easy because of how the basket is laid out. Like the stingers kind of creates a horizontal line across basket that damages teammates. Be wary of that. Don't drag it around basket like back and forth. Do not also be afraid to special these guys, because like with the fly fish, they're far away from basket, except for like these right ones. So like if you get middle ones and you don't want to have to go on the trek over spiral, or like you don't want to have to go through the bosses over here, don't be afraid to special them. But you can also abuse your positioning advantage, like, oh, over here I'm still safe from the lessers on this platform. I can kill the stinger. Or I'm very safe right here. I can kill the stinger. Okay, next up. Moz. Wait, didn't we already? No, I guess not. Moz, much like high tide, they can get stuck on this lip, which means that you need to move back a little bit and then they'll come up and over. Moz will get slowed down if they're coming from mid by the spiral. And so, because they have to like climb down this wall and then over here, if it's early wave and you're over here already, bomb this Moz. Just do it. Because I would have to pull up the video, but I think it was Ken Shiro made a video showing that it's just like it takes the same amount of time to bomb it up here and throw it if you have nothing else to do and your ink tank's full than it does to stand down here and let it climb down the wall and then go over here. So don't be afraid if you're naturally positioning here to bomb this Moz where it is. Yeah, I like getting Moz in around, like onto this platform. This is one of those bosses that you can get it in pretty nicely, so I like to do that. Drizzler. Drizzlers have the same challenges as high tide, where if they're around basket like GCA, they kind of persist for a long time. But you also have the control to lure them in often. Like, oh, it's at C. Okay, I'm going to stand like right here. And I'm saying like after it's already cycled, like it's fired twice, it's about to jump. If you want to get it in while it's still jumping, you need to position really far back. So you see the only spot that's safe from all three is like right back in here. And like I was saying earlier, you don't really want to position here. This is an instance where that's fine because you're positioning there for like a second or two. But it requires a lot of team coordination because you have to position super, super far back. So it often doesn't work out that way. And that's when you want to exert your control over where it goes by like, oh, it's at G? Okay, I stand here. Now I'm probably the closest and it will jump to basket. Or, oh, it's at A? I stand here. If you're struggling with the boss is already on the field, just reflect these guys. Like they're really annoying. So it's perfectly okay if you're like, I can't handle this. Just killing them and then trying to grab the eggs. Moss clip. So yeah, it's okay to just kill these guys if they're annoying you. But ideally, you get them to basket. Something that I will do on this tide, I gotta get rid of the stingers, spots, is if I see this drizzler, like I was saying earlier, it's a nuisance. Let's say that there's stuff going on at basket, like there's a flopper and a bunch of eggs. And I'm perfectly content just chilling around basket for a while. Yeah, I don't see the link, sorry. Um, what I will have to do is I will intentionally take the aggro, like make it shoot its torpedoes at me because I'm confident that I can handle them because all I have to do is like eggs and a flopper. And then when it's time to jump, I do again. I take its aggro, I make it jump into basket. So that's how I have learned to handle these guys. Is that you have more control over how annoying they are than it may seem at first because you can control who they fire their torpedoes at to an extent, and you can, to another extent, control where they jump to. Okay. And now, fish sticks. Let me get rid of the drizzler spots. Oh, I should say actually first, or before I move on. These far drizzlers, they can also be annoying because their torpedoes are far away. So one option that you have early in the wave, if you're trying to position far, you don't want to stall them down there, right? But let's say you're positioning on the spiral at the start, which is, I mean, that makes sense. Like you're in a good central position on the map. I can understand that. Here's how what you do is you can actually just back up. There's like a specific point on the spiral for each point, for each drizzler, where you can stand and then it will jump up to the spiral. Then if you're ready and waiting on top of the spiral, you can just finish it off as it jumps in. E and G are particularly annoying. These ones I will often, if I see a drizzler at E, it still has two jumps to go, and it's hard to lure, and it takes a long time. Sometimes I just cut my losses with E, and if I'm like here, I just reflect it and kill it, get it out of the way. It's annoying. Ideally, I want it to go D to C to H, as opposed to D to E to G to H. Okay. Get you out of the way. Now it is time, yes, for fish sticks. These all four fish sticks you have a height advantage on with the spiral, so these are easy to cancel. This right one, canceling this one can be early in the wave. I like doing it. Later in the wave, it's a bit less of a good idea because, like, if this fish stick is canceled, then the spot is still open. If the fish stick burrows into the ground, then the spot is no longer open. So these three eggs are kind of far. If these aren't optimized and it's later in the wave and like lessers are spawning here, it's often better to just let the stick drill in. I could even see the argument at the start of letting it drill in, because then later in the wave, fish sticks can't go there. They'd be more likely to go to one of the basket spots. But yeah, you have a lot more freedom and flexibility with fish stick killing on this tide because of all your height advantages. So even if you don't have a super long range weapon, you can often handle them super fast. And this stick and this stick are in good spots. Or mainly this one is in a good spot to stickler. So it's like, oh, I'm up on the stick. Here it comes. Here comes the steelhead. It will often walk into walls, but if you like swim on the side of the fish stick, you can get it to go around corners and then get it in pretty nicely while you're throwing the eggs up on the fish stick. Okay, floppers. Get rid of the fish stick thing. Floppers, like I was saying on high tide, I like to get them like here in front of basket because that's a just easy spot to paint them at. Whereas everything else is going to come in for the most part through the back. So it makes the floppers a bit less, they don't stack with the other bosses and make as much of a problem if they're positioned like here. And Sockeye has plenty of positions to dealer them from basically any position on the map. Like there's just lots of ledges everywhere. Jump off, it goes in, okay. Jump off the spiral, it goes in, okay. Stand on the grates, it'll ignore you. Jump over into midair, okay, it jumps in. So keep that in mind. You can dealer them a lot. I don't want them to be painted far away, especially on a map like this. Like it might be like, oh, I'll just paint this real quick and remove its armor. I wouldn't do that because then it's just going to jump into basket slower, and I just am not a fan. Big shots. Okay, here we go. So big shots on this map. There are 3. I think this website displays 4 of them, but 2 of them are like overlapping each other, so I don't know. Yeah, like right there, kind of looks like there's 2, I think. Anyways. This mid big shot cannon plays the most, is like the part of the map I think that plays the most like a front to back map out of this entire, the entire design of the map is, out of the entire design of the map, sorry. This big shot plays the most like front to back where not everything, a lot of things will funnel into it. And you just need to be ready to fight and fight and fight. But you have the capacity to do that. You have there's open space, you have a height advantage. So I actually end up liking this big shot cannon a lot. I will often stay at this big shot cannon for a long time. And you have the space. It's like a steelhead's coming in from this direction. Okay, move over here. The steelhead will move over it, or like move over it, something like that. And now it's helping you and the eggs are right on it. Or a lid is spawning from the opposite side, like here. Okay, you can get it over. And because like these 3 are a different spawn group than these 5, it's like this one, this one, this one are different from this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, I think. Let me confirm that. Yes. What that means is that it's rare that I end up feeling like I'm in a position where I have a steelhead and another steelhead on the opposite side or a lid on the opposite side. And it's like pincer. It's like, oh, where do I position? I guess just kill one of them, right? I feel like that's rare, which is convenient for this big shot cannon. So it's nice. It's not that hard to lure stuff all onto the cannon. I like killing stuff there. This big shot cannon over on the right side. This one I also really like camping, but it's a bit more difficult because of it's kind of in a more cramped position. But that crampage is like almost what makes it nice because the big shots don't have to walk very far for it. None of the bosses really have to walk very far for it, and they naturally end up just kind of in their own path walking onto it in some way. So you don't even have to think that hard about luring the bosses. All you really have to do is like, all right, I'm moving back. And now the bosses will come over onto it just nicely for you. And then this left cannon, this is the most difficult cannon for me because it's cramped, but not in a way that benefits you, I think. So if I see, this is often the cannon where I end up expending the most specials and also where I am less like prone to just stay the whole time. Because at this cannon spot, stuff coming in from middle is particularly annoying. I don't feel like I have a whole lot of space to work with here, even though it kind of looks like you might. And if you go over onto here, you have the positional advantage. But then the bosses will start going in a direction that you don't really want. Like they don't start moving in towards the cannon. It's really hard to get bosses to move towards the cannon here, which is the struggle. I think. But it can be done. You just have to like position like here or like all the way over there. But the struggle with that is it's like this is such an awkward position to be in, isn't it? And it's the same deal with this mid cannon, but I think it's like exacerbated for this one. Uh, so something. Oh yeah, lids, and then we'll discuss luring strategies quickly. I don't have a whole lot of time left, admittedly, but the lids will come to these choke points if you're trying to lure them. I don't want to stall them far unless I'm ready to immediately slam them. But they'll come to these choke points, and when they're in these choke points, I want them to get through them, like here. Because a lid in this choke point is helpful because it slams stuff, but I feel like it almost incentivizes you or makes it appealing to start killing everything in the choke point. But then you get a massive pile of eggs that's like unmanageable, and I already explained earlier why I don't like these choke points. I want the lid, I want a position like here. I want the lid to come in closer. That's what I want with the slamming lids. The other thing about the choke point is that if one of them is stalled there, another one comes in, oops. Then another one comes, oops. This is horrendous. Like, this is really, really bad. Because it's just so many lessers, and in order to handle it, you have to go into a really awkward position on the map. So yeah, try to get the lids in closer. If they stall on each other, which can happen, like one's coming in here, one's coming in here, oops. Try to slam them, maybe kill one of them and let the other one come in, or maybe just kill both of them if you don't think that you have it in you to lure it. Now Snatchers. Where are they? Okay. Okay, so here are the Snatcher locations. These basket snatchers are the ones that you want to look out for really fast. So this is why you like want to kill bosses quickly early on. Because this left side, let's see, like it picks up here, picks up here, it picks up here. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to start killing these bosses, which is nice because, like I was saying earlier, this area rewards you for having map control. So this is one way to hold it, is to curb stomp the bosses, and then allow the snatchers to just pick them up and bring them in for you. And also, it can allow you to multitask, where it's like, okay, we're killing these bosses as bosses on the other side move in. And then vice versa for these right ones. They'll go and pick up all of this. So look out for these snatchers. They're super useful. These guys are what you want. They will help you so much. If you see them, you're like, all right, perfect. I have the opportunity to be way more aggro now than I could be otherwise. If you get these far ones, they're not as useful, but they still do help. They will pick up some eggs like over here and then bring them onto the spiral. That's going from 2 egg throw to 1 egg throw, or like bring them over here. That's helpful. These ones can do the same thing with eggs over here. Bring them here. But if you do get these ones, you have to play a bit more passively, and because otherwise, like, these eggs are optimized, but they're not like optimized really well. They aren't at basket for you. So you do need to be wary of that. So something that you will often do on both high tide and normal tide is, like, left is coming in, there are eggs on right, we go right, and then we're multitasking. But sometimes you'll get bosses where it's like this. Like, this can naturally happen sometimes, and that's okay. Here's how you handle this situation. You don't stand back here, I don't think. I don't like doing that. What I like to do instead is pick the side that you think you can, that either has fewer lurables, has more eggs, or the side that you want to control more. So like if there's a stinger behind the steelhead, for example. So right here, I would just push this way. Now these bosses will come in over in front of this like rim area, or if I have another teammate back here that I can bring them in. But we just kind of like kill this steelhead, and then you can grab its eggs while these bosses are moving in closer and multitask that way. Okay, so I think that's every boss. Yes. I think that's about all I had to say. If anyone has any questions, I'll answer them. Otherwise, I think that's a wrap. I think I've yapped for long enough. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone does, so thank you for watching. That's going to be it for this one. And feel free to, if you have any, oh, I became smarter with this. Thank you. Thank you for watching. And if you have any advice on ways you think I could improve this format, improve my explanations, also feel free to let me know. But I'm going to skedaddle. Goodbye.